Immortal clan, starting with the power of the dragon and the tiger. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination, so don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like, and if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 1 Bloodline Genealogy. Dongxi Village. On the path leading to the village, Chuan, wearing a straw hat, a coarse linen vest, and rolled up his trouser legs, walked towards the village, carrying a hoe on his shoulder and two large black carp tied with straw. The afterglow of the setting sun cast a long shadow on his face, his bronze skin gleaming. Sanchu, it's time to go home. Beneath a large locust tree ahead, an elderly man with slightly graying temples gently fanned his fish with a palm leaf fan. Seeing Chuan, he greeted him warmly. Seeing the large black carp in his hand, the old man smiled faintly. A good catch today, Uncle Chen. You're enjoying the cool air again. It's just some cruel trick of nature. It's so hot, only someone with your physique could endure this long under the scorching sun. Chuan grinned. Standing just over 5 feet 4 inches tall, he was well proportioned, not considered large for the men of Dongxi village, and might even appear a bit frail to others. But Chuan had never been ill since childhood. The villagers all said Chuan was blessed by heaven. But that wasn't the case. Chuan was a time traveler, gifted with talent. He was born into an ordinary family. His father, Su Ping, was a farmhand for the wealthy Su family in Dongxi village. His mother died when he was just 3 years old, and Su Ping died at the age of 15 from overwork. With wisdom from his past life, Chuan learned quickly and became a skilled farmer. The Su family valued him greatly, and after his father's death, they doubled their wages to keep him. But Chuan resolutely resigned from his job, using nearly all his savings to buy 10 acres of rice fields. The villagers called Chuan short-sighted. The Su family was a well-known and wealthy family in the surrounding area, and becoming a farmhand there was no easy feat. Su Ping had worked for the Su family his entire life, and Chuan's position was initially thanks to his father. Now, he had resigned for nothing, making way for someone else. But Chuan didn't see it that way. How could working for someone else possibly compare to working for yourself? Of course, he also felt that after 15 years of low-key development, it was time to strike out on his own. As a time traveler, Chuan was born with a bloodline family tree, but the current tree only had one page, and the first page only contained Chuan's name. To be included in the family tree, one had to drip blood on it for his name to appear. Chuan also accidentally found this at the age of 6, still a 3 no youth. Chuan, the Su family's first generation, spiritual roots, incomplete 5 elements, no aptitude for immortal cultivation, talent, none, bloodline, none. Later, the bloodline family tree gave birth to 3 talents: dragon spirit and tiger fierceness, daily divination, and heaven rewards diligence. He used them all on himself. Dragon spirit and tiger fierceness instilled in him daily energy and vitality, naturally keeping him free from illness and disaster. Daily divination allowed him to divine his fortune once a day. Most of the results were neutral, neither good nor bad. This was also related to Chuan's low profile and his refusal to cause trouble. Heaven rewards hard work. As long as you persevere in anything, you will reap the rewards. Even if the power of his blessing is modest, after a period of hard work, he is far superior to ordinary people. For example, in terms of farming, he is now an expert in this field, and many of the common people in Dongxi village have come to him for advice. The fields are the lifeblood of the common people, so he is well liked. In addition, Chuan is also skilled in carpentry, cultivating fruit trees and medicinal herbs, and has some knowledge of archery. Thanks to his hard work, Chuan married at the age of 20. His wife was also the eldest daughter of an ordinary common family, named Bai Jing. She was 3 years younger than him, with a delicate appearance, hard-working and kind. It was a perfect match. 6 years later, Bai Jing gave birth to 2 sons for him, and they are now expecting their 3rd child, and in 2 months, the fruit will be ripe. Uncle Chen, I'm done chatting with you. I have to go home to see my wife. Go ahead, wait until the baby is 1 month old. Remember to invite me to have a drink. Then remember to bring a gift, I won't let you down at all, haha. Chuan immediately walked towards his home and arrived home soon. Gray-white walls, dark blue tiles, a square courtyard. In the northeast corner of the courtyard there is a tall pear tree, on which hang large green pears, bending the branches. As soon as he reached the door, he saw two children lying on the corner of the courtyard with their buttocks sticking out, two pairs of black eyes, looking at something unknown. Hearing footsteps, the two turned their heads. Upon seeing Chuan, they immediately broke into a brilliant smile and ran, calling out, "Dad, you're back, Dad, it's a big herring. I want to eat big herring, no problem, but you have to give the first mouthful of fish soup to your mother, okay?" The older child nodded sensibly. "Mother's pregnant with my little brother, and it's been very hard. Naturally, she should eat first. Shitao is so good. What about me, Dad?" the younger child asked, looking up, his eyes twinkling with anticipation. "You're good too." The older one was Su Mingwei, 5 years old, nicknamed Shitao. The younger one was Su Mingyin, 3 years old, nicknamed Aon. "By the way, what were you looking at just now while you were lying on the ground?" Su Mingwei pointed to the corner of the wall and said, "There were a lot of little ants crawling around in neat rows. Ants moving? Looks like it's going to rain tonight, Dad." "What do ants mean by moving? Will it rain tonight?" "How did you know?" Su Mingwei tugged at the corner of Chuan's clothes, peppering him with questions. Chuan smiled and said, "Do you still want fish soup tonight? If you stop me again, there won't be any." Upon hearing this, the two men, looking as if the sky was about to fall, quickly made way. Then, pushing Chuan towards the kitchen, they urged anxiously, "Father, hurry up, hurry up." At that moment, Bai Jing emerged, her belly bulging, her hand resting on the door frame, her cheeks still red from waking up. "My husband is back. I overslept. I'll go make dinner." "No need, my lady, you rest. I'll make dinner tonight." Chuan smiled softly and entered the kitchen. First, he washed the rice, lit the fire, and then used a kitchen knife to scrape the fish's scales and clean its internal organs. Afterward, he scored 7 or 8 times on each side to make the fish more flavorful during cooking. Su Mingwei and Su Mingyin stood by, watching silently, their saliva dripping onto the floor. "Shitao, go to the chicken coop and see if there are any eggs." "Okay, Dad." Su Mingwei ran over happily, fumbled in the chicken coop with his little hands, took out 2 eggs, and then ran excitedly to Chuan's side. "Dad, here." Chuan took it and put it aside, preparing to make scrambled eggs with green onions later. "Also, go with Yuan and drive all the chickens in the yard back to the chicken cooperative." Su Mingwei took Su Mingyin's little hand and went to drive the chickens back. A moment later, Su Mingyin's crying was heard. Chuan stopped and ran over to see Bai Jing holding Su Mingyin, gently patting his back and comforting him. "What's wrong?" Chuan asked. Su Mingwei said, "Father, Yuan was hit by a rooster's wing and fell to the ground, crying." "Yuan, you're a man, how can you cry? I'll avenge you in a few days." Su Mingyin sobbed twice, and then stopped crying. "Father, keep your word." "Father, I've always kept my word. Come on, let's make a pinky promise." "Yes." Chuan went back to cooking. More than half an hour later, the family happily began to eat at the 8 Immortal table. The two children remembered Chuan's words and gave the first bite of fish soup to their mother, which touched Bai Jing deeply. At night, a heavy rain fell. Inside the room, Bai Jing suddenly said, "Husband, our 3rd child will be born soon. You should add another bunk bed to the bunk bed." "No rush." Chuan smiled. "The 3rd child can sleep in the crib for now. As for the future, I plan to expand the house in a few years, adding at least 3 more rooms. The yard is a bit small, and with more people, the children won't have enough space to move around." "I'll do as you say, husband." Bai Jing nodded, then thought, "Should we rent a few acres of land? After all, we'll have to feed another mouth, and Shitao and Aon's appetites are getting bigger and bigger." "My wife is very thoughtful." Chuan looked at Bai Jing and smiled again. "But forget about renting. The fruit trees on the 10 acres have started bearing fruit since last year, and the yield will only increase this year." Bai Jing said nothing more. A woman's husband is a woman's wife, and Chuan naturally made the decisions in everything for the Su family. Moreover, she knew that Chuan was extremely capable. Since she married, the Su family's life had improved noticeably with each passing year. Of course, more importantly, Chuan loved her deeply. She had made the right choice to marry. There was only one thing she felt sorry for. Husband, I'll help you tonight, thank you, Mom, the deleted part. The only thing she felt sorry for was that Chuan was so vigorous and energetic that she couldn't fully satisfy him. Bai Jing's eyes kept shifting downward, and she said shyly, Husband, I'll help you tonight, thank you, Mom, soon. Soft panting and sounds of approval could be heard in the room. The sound of a flute rustled, and the lingering sound lingered in the air. Chapter 2 Daily Divination. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. The endless golden rice fields, swaying in the gentle breeze, resembled golden waves. These past few days, every household in Dongxi village was busy harvesting. This morning, Chuan performed a daily divination to divine his fortune. Today's divination, medium to high. You'll harvest rice today and run into Uncle Chen's family. Hopefully, Uncle Chen will reveal the secret manual of internal energy and information about the abandoned rice fields. Chuan's face lit up with joy. It's worth all my days of divination, I finally made it. The secret manual of internal energy? It's time to consider martial arts training. However, Chuan hasn't decided which of his children will pursue martial arts, as this will determine the fate of the next generation's talent. In the fields. Brother Chuan, your rice is still the best. The grains are plump and large. 10 acres of rice yields as much as my 15 or 16. A dark-skinned man gazed at Chuan's rice fields, his eyes clearly filled with envy. This man was Chen Ergao, the second son of Uncle Chen, just a year younger than Chuan. He had admired and worshipped him since childhood. Their rice fields were next to Chuan's. Do you have a secret recipe? Teach me. What nonsense. Why would I tell you if I had a secret recipe? Uncle Chen approached, cursing. Uncle Chen, there's no such thing as a secret recipe. It's all God's gift, heaven rewards hard work, so Chuan was right. Uncle Chen chuckled, everyone in Dongxi village knows that you're a skilled farmer, Sanshu. Otherwise, the Su family wouldn't have insisted on you staying, you're wise. You quit your farmhand job and now your life is getting better and better. Nothing compares to Uncle Chen's family. Uncle Chen's family had 2 sons and 2 daughters, 120 acres of rice fields, 20 acres of farmland, and 30 acres of forest. They were a wealthy family in Dongxi village. Furthermore, his eldest son was quite ambitious and had a talent for martial arts. Already a third-rate warrior, he settled in Qianyuan County and married the youngest daughter of a wealthy merchant. It's busy farming these days, isn't Brother Daming coming back? Chuan asked, his thought coming to him without leaving a trace. Speaking of his eldest son, Chen Ming, Uncle Chen's eyes flashed with a complex expression of complacency and helplessness. Your brother Daming is a warrior, and he has his own things to do. Family disgrace is best left unseen, so Uncle Chen naturally wouldn't speak ill of his son in front of outsiders. I really envy Brother Daming. When I have money someday, I'll buy him a manual on internal energy and let my son practice it. Uncle Chen, if you see Brother Daming, remember to ask him for me. No problem, it's a piece of cake, Uncle Chen said with a grin, patting his chest. This world is still unstable, so it's good to learn some martial arts for self-defense. He sighed softly and said, if old you had your idea, he wouldn't have been robbed in the middle of the night, and his whole family would have died. How pitiful. However, the path of a warrior is very expensive. Sanshu, you must be mentally prepared. Uncle Chen changed his tone and gave a serious warning. Without talent, wealth alone will ultimately be nothing. I saved it, Uncle Chen. What a pity for Uncle Yu's family. What about his land? When a person dies, everything is empty. Uncle Chen's eyes lit up with a smile. Of course the government will take it back. I guess it'll happen in the next 2 days. If you happen to run into a Yamen runner, you'd better act immediately. After all, your family is growing, and your children are growing up. Even if the paddy fields are several times more productive than others, 10 acres is too little. Having his thoughts seen through, Chuan wasn't surprised. He scratched his head and flattered, Uncle Chen, nothing can be hidden. I was planning this myself. Now that life is getting better and the population is growing, I'm starting to think about increasing my land holdings. Whether ordinary people or wealthy families, they value their land and will never sell it unless absolutely necessary. It's the very foundation of their survival. Even if a family falls on hard times after several generations, as long as the land remains, it provides a guarantee for their descendants. Buying rice fields is a matter of luck. Fortunately, Chuan's luck allowed him to wait for the opportunity. As for the internal energy secret manual, it wasn't of primary importance at the moment. If the price was too high, he would have to give it up for now and plan for it later. Su Chuan knew exactly what the Su family needed most right now. Study as an old dog. The Great Wei Dynasty, integrating martial arts and immortal cultivation, established two ranks, military officers and immortal officials. However, due to the high qualifications required for the immortal path, only a few could achieve immortality. Once achieved, their power far surpassed that of martial artists. Therefore, the status of immortal officials was significantly higher in the Great Wei Dynasty. However, both require a certain level of skill and, more importantly, connections. Becoming a military officer or immortal official in the Great Wei Dynasty was like joining the civil service system of Su Chuan's previous life. It was a stable job. Every warrior and low-level immortal cultivator coveted it. With good management, a family could rapidly expand in just 10 or 20 years. After chatting for a while, both families began harvesting. Su Chuan's family had only 10 acres of land, and they had been harvesting for over 10 days. Not much remained, but he was quick and efficient, finishing the harvest in half a day. After lunch, Su Chuan went to the threshing ground to dry the harvested rice to reduce moisture and prevent mold. "Dad, where are you going?" the two children asked. "Dad's going to dry the rice, Dad. I'll help you." Su Mingwei looked up at Su Chuan, his small hands clenched into fists, a determined look on his tender face. "Okay, Shitao, go help Dad." Su Chuan rubbed Su Mingwei's head, his eyes full of fondness. What parent wouldn't be delighted with such a sensible child? At this point, Su Mingwei also chirped in his baby voice, "I want to go too, Dad. Go, go, let's all go." Many people were busy working in the grain field. Seeing Su Chuan approach with his two children, they all smiled and praised his children's sensibility and ability. Su Chuan smiled back, and a brief moment of parental praise ensued. However, the two little ones were still children after all. After working for a short while, they were tempted by something and ran off to who knows where. Su Mingwei was already quite sensible, so Su Chuan felt more at ease. However, when they returned, covered in mud, Su Chuan still gave them a scolding. He then stripped them clean and stuffed them into a wooden barrel, leaving Bai Jing to wash them. Su Mingwei and Su Mingyin played in the wooden barrel, the splashing water soaking Bai Jing's clothes, and she put on a wet show of seduction for Su Chuan. Late at night, the stars twinkled, and the evening breeze, carrying a touch of coolness under the moonlight, Bai Jing practiced her flute again. Her skills became increasingly proficient, earning Su Chuan's praise. The next day. Today's hexagram, auspicious 1 p.m. The Qianyuan County Chief Clerk arrives at the entrance of Dongxi village. "You have a high probability of buying 50 acres of rice fields." 50 acres of rice fields, harmonized. Bai Jing practiced her flute again, explaining it in a simple and easy-to-understand way, with a nimble fingering. Her skills became increasingly proficient, earning Su Chuan's praise. Chapter 3 Land. 30 mu of farmland generally produced enough grain to feed a family of 10 or so. The remaining money could be saved to purchase a manual on internal energy. Internal energy manuals came in different grades. Top-quality manuals cost 1 to 2,000 taels, while standard ones could cost 7 to 800. Su Chuan naturally wanted to purchase a top-quality manual to lay a solid foundation for his family's future martial arts. As for the more precious Qianyuan manual, that would have to wait until someone in the Su family became a Qianyuan warrior. It's really rare for the chief registrar to personally handle matters down there. Is this some kind of official struggle? After careful consideration, Su Chuan timed his move and headed directly to the village entrance to wait. Meanwhile, in Dongxi village, the common people were busy with the various matters following the rice harvest. The wealthy families, seeing the scorching heat, preferred not to venture out unless absolutely necessary. At the entrance to Dongxi village, Su Chuan spotted two yeoman runners in black bean robes and a scholar in a green robe approaching from a distance. He hurried over, inquired about their background, and then proposed purchasing you boys' rice fields. "You want to buy 50 acres of rice fields?" the green-robed scholar asked in surprise. "Yes, may I ask what your rank is? Can you make the decision? If not, I will go to the county government office right away. I am the chief clerk of Qianyuan County. I'm here to deal with the land estate of the Yu family following their death. Greetings, chief clerk." Su Chuan hurriedly bowed, figuring it was indeed the chief clerk. "Yang Zhao, the chief clerk of Qianyuan," sized Chuan up. Seeing his coarse linen vest, he assumed he was an ordinary commoner from Dongxi village. 50 acres of rice fields was a considerable sum for an ordinary commoner. Are you sure you can afford it? Don't tease me, or you'll suffer the consequences. He wasn't in the best of moods, and his tone was stern. How dare I? Yang Zhao pondered for a moment, then said, in that case, the rice fields will be charged at 10 taels per acre. How do you do that? No problem, Chuan agreed, then produced a banknote. The August heat was unbearable. Yang Zhao glanced at it calmly, wiping the sweat from his forehead. Having already completed half of the task assigned by the county magistrate upon entering the village, he felt much better. Although he knew the county magistrate was targeting him, the newly appointed chief clerk, a higher rank meant more power. If he failed to complete his task today, he would undoubtedly be targeted upon his return. What's your name, Chuan? Let me check. Yes, Chief Clerk Yang. A senior Yamen runner produced the official land register and searched for Chuan's property. Another Yamen runner, with a rounder face, similarly produced the census register, searching for Chuan's name. Got it, Chuan, from Dongxi village. He should be 26 this year. He has a wife and 2 children. The rounded Yamen runner looked at Yang Zhao and pointed to Chuan's name on the register. Sir, I found it too. Chuan currently owns 10 acres of rice fields and 10 acres of forest. The senior Yamen runner also pointed to the contents of his search. Yes, you are indeed from Dongxi village, and you have the right of first refusal. Yang Zhao accepted the 500 taels of silver note and helped Chuan register the land, having him sign his name and place his fingerprints. This is your receipt for purchasing the rice fields. From now on, the 50 acres of Yuhao's rice fields belong to you. Thank you, Chief Clerk Yang. Chuan kept the rice field certificate close to his body and was about to leave when Yang Zhao unexpectedly stopped him. Chuan, right? It's fate that you and I meet at the village entrance. Since you are from Dongxi village, you know where the Yuhao family's fields are, right? Let me lead the way. Never mind. I can't afford to offend the official. Chuan nodded and offered to take Yang Zhao and the others to inspect the fields. With Chuan's help, Yang Zhao completed the task assigned by the county magistrate in half a day. The remaining 30 acres of Yuhao's prime paddy fields and 30 acres of forest were now owned by the family. Okay, let's call it a day. You don't have to accompany me. I, Yang Zhao, will remember this favor. If you have any trouble, you can come to the Qianyuan County office to find me. It's just a small matter. No need to worry about it, Chief Clerk Yang. I'll remember it if I tell you to. I, Yang Zhao, distinguish between gratitude and resentment. But I also made it clear beforehand that if you violate the laws of the Great Way or do anything that is against the will of heaven, there's no need to come to me. If you dare come, I'll be the first one to have you arrested and thrown in jail. I'll remember this. Chuan watched their retreating figures, muttering to himself, can a chief clerk be so confident? No. It must be because of his powerful backing. Today, he purchased 50 acres of rice fields and inexplicably received a small favor. It's a big deal. Back home, Chuan recounted the day's events to Bai Jing. 50 acres? Husband, didn't you originally plan to buy only 20 or 30 acres? It's fate, Chuan muttered mysteriously, then produced the certificate for the rice fields. Bai Jing took a look at it, her face lit up with delight. Great! We won't have to worry about food for a long time to come. We can even sell the surplus for silver, put it away, put it back where it's supposed to be. In the afternoon, Chuan went to the threshing ground to inspect the harvested rice. He'd see how well it was drying. If it was well dried, he'd start threshing, removing impurities, and drying it before storing it. He then inspected his own forest. The jade pears here were of prime importance, ready for harvest in a little over a month. To prevent prying eyes and intruders, he'd planted a large number of thorn vines around his fields. These vines grow easily, their sharp thorns scratching the skin and having a paralyzing effect. Over the years, the thorn vines entwined the bamboo poles, forming a thorn wall 4 or 5 meters high and a foot thick, leaving only a single door. Chuan had set up a few crude traps. At dusk, after his final inspection, he'd lock the door and then activate the traps. At night, the forest was dark, and visibility was poor. If someone really has the intention to steal and force their way in, there's a high probability that they will be caught. More than a month passed in the blink of an eye. Many processes for rice have long been completed and stored at home. Su Chuan began to process the 50 acres of rice fields he had obtained. Except for the part that needs to be taxed, the rest of the rice grown in the fields belongs to his family. In the evening, Chen Ergao suddenly ran to the rice fields in a hurry, shouting breathlessly, "Brother Chuan, my sister-in-law is about to give birth." Su Chuan's face lit up with joy, and without saying a word, he ran home. "No, let me rest first." Chen Ergao was out of breath, but watching Su Chuan run away, he could only bite the bullet and follow him with his front legs shaking like a dog. Before he reached the door, he heard Bai Jing's painful screams from inside the house. Chen Ergao's wife Su Yan was helping, and when she came out, she saw Su Chuan trying to enter, so she quickly stopped him. "Cousin, the midwife is here, so don't go in. It's unlucky for a man to be present during a woman's birth. Well, go boil a few more pots of hot water, the more the better." Su Chuan just wanted to check on Bai Jing, but now wasn't the time to dwell on that. He immediately ran to the kitchen, lit the firewood, and began to boil water. This wasn't Bai Jing's first birth. But for a woman, every birth is a life or death hurdle. There's no such thing as getting used to having multiple children. Su Chuan naturally felt nervous. When Chen Ergao arrived, he poured himself a bowl of water and gulped it down. Noticing the worry on Su Chuan's face, he said, "Brother Chuan, don't worry. My sister-in-law has always been in good health. The birth will go smoothly. Also, I brought a Qianyuan blood pill from home, just in case." Chen Ergao handed the small porcelain bottle of Qianyuan blood pill to Su Chuan. "That's thoughtful." Su Chuan accepted it without hesitation. Having experienced Bai Jing giving birth several times, Su Chuan also prepared some herbs to replenish Qianyuan blood. But compared to the Qianyuan blood pills, they were far inferior. He felt a little relieved, and then remembered something and asked, "Where are Shitao and Ayan? I brought them to my house. I guess they are having a great time with my son." Su Chuan nodded and looked up at Chen Ergao. "Ergao, I'll remember this favor. If there's anything I can help with in the future, just let me know. Actually, there is one thing I need your help with, Brother Chuan, but right now, my sister-in-law giving birth is the most important thing." "Okay," Su Chuan responded, his mind elsewhere. Nothing in the world could be more important than his wife giving birth. Chapter 4 Selling Green Jade Pears. Bai Jing, push harder, cousin, push harder, push harder. Ah! Bai Jing's heart-wrenching cries echoed from inside the house. Su Chuan heard it all clearly in the kitchen, his heart racing. "Is the water ready?" Su Yan poked her head out the door and shouted towards the kitchen. "It's coming, it's coming." Su Chuan immediately ran over with 2 pots and handed them to Su Yan. "How is it going?" Almost there, almost there." With that, he slammed the door shut again. Time ticked by. "Bai Jing, the baby's head is coming out. Push harder, cousin, it'll be there soon." Ah! Suddenly, a loud baby cry rang out from inside the house. It's born, it's born." Su Chuan's face broke into a smile, his heart finally at ease. "Brother Chuan, see, I told you sister-in-law was fine. Judging by the sound, it's definitely another boy." Chen Ergao congratulated them. Su Chuan chuckled, "You're not as good as me. You have a son and a daughter, a perfect match." At that moment, the door opened, and the midwife emerged carrying a basin of blood. She wearily said, "Mother and child are safe, and it's a boy. Let's go in and take a look." Without further ado, Su Chuan nodded and entered the room. Reaching the bed, he saw Bai Jing, exhausted. With heartache, he approached her, took her hand, and whispered, "My dear, you've worked hard. It's not hard. Giving birth to children for the Su family is my duty." Hearing this, Su Chuan felt even more distressed. "Get some rest." Only then did Bai Jing slowly close her eyes. "Cousin, hold me." Su Chuan took the child, his face full of smiles, and he giggled. A moment later, his father-in-law and his family arrived. A group of them gathered around the child, chatting. "Sanchu, have you decided on a name for your child?" his father-in-law, Bai Fu, asked with a kind look. "Yes," Su Chuan nodded, his gaze fixed on the child. "Su Mingxuan, magnificent and majestic. His nickname is Tantao." After Su Chuan rewarded the midwife, she left. Then came Chen Ergao's family, and then his father-in-law's family. After Tantao was born, Su Mingwei and Su Mingguan were brought here by Ergao. "Dad, little brother's skin is wrinkled, just like an old man," Shitao said with a hint of disdain. "You were the same when you were born," Bai Jing said with a smile. Su Chuan gave her the Qianyuan blood pill to take, and now her face is no longer pale, but much rosier, and she even has the strength to get out of bed. However, Su Chuan didn't allow it and told her to lie down. Su Mingwei seemed to have been hit, touching his face with some doubt. Yuan, Dad will keep his promise today. Tell me which hen teased you. Su Mingyuan's mouth immediately watered at the thought of chicken toit and chicken soup to drink. He hurriedly pulled Su Chuan out. Father, I'll take you there. Shi Tao, take good care of your mother. Don't worry, Father. Su Mingwei patted his chest. A few days later, after finishing work in the rice fields, it was time to harvest the green jade pears. Basket after basket of green jade pears were brought home. A rare fruit like the green jade pear sells best in Qianyuan County. Even in the county seat, it's not considered a common fruit. However, Dongxi village is over 180 miles from Qianyuan County. Bandits occasionally appear along the road. It's not very safe. Even though the probability is low, Su Chuan didn't want to gamble. So, he contacted his old employer and sold the green jade pears to them. It was the same thing last year. In the Su family courtyard. Master Su, these are this year's green jade fruits, a total of 6,400 kilograms, Su Chuan said respectfully. In front of him was a slightly plump middle-aged man in his 40s with a short beard. 400 more jin than last year. Production is almost at its limit, unless we expand our operations. But Master Sen, you know how difficult it is to grow green jade pears. Master Su Sen nodded. Let's go with last year's price. No problem, begin weighing. If everything is correct, the silver will be paid on the spot. The Su family's servants began weighing, and soon the process was complete. Beside Master Su Sen was a young man in brocade clothes. He looked at the green jade pears with fiery eyes, then glanced at Su Chuan with disdain. Master, the weight is correct. Master Su Sen nodded slightly and immediately paid Su Chuan 3,200 jin. Su Chuan, you are really capable. Are you interested in selling the secret recipe of growing green jade pears to my Su family? My Su family is willing to buy it at a high price. Third Master, I have some experience, but I really don't have a secret recipe. If Third Master needs it, Su Chuan knows it all, but I am just lucky. I am not sure that I can make the green jade pear tree survive next time. It took 6 or 7 years or even longer, but in the end I got nothing. I am not only sorry for Third Master Su, but also for my dead father. Third Master Su lowered his head and pondered for a moment, then smiled and said, I just asked. Okay, now that the matter is done, I have other things to do, so I'll leave first. Goodbye, Third Master. Su Chuan sent the Su family out the door, and waited until they were far away before he breathed a sigh of relief and went back to the house. After leaving the Su family, the man in brocade clothes finally couldn't help but said, Dad, why are you so polite to an ordinary commoner? He was just a farmhand who relied on our family for food. Green jade pear is a good thing. Why don't you just take the secret recipe away? Doesn't he dare not give it to you? Do you really think that our Su family is the sky of Dongxi village? Master Su San glared at the man in brocade clothes. His eyes were full of disappointment when he heard what he said. Let's not talk about whether the secret recipe is real or not. Green jade pears are indeed difficult to grow. I've only heard that a few aristocratic families in the county town have mastered the cultivation method. Do you think he can figure it out in a few years? Su Chuan said something right. Spending 7 or 8 years, investing a lot of manpower, material resources, and money, only turned up with nothing is a complete waste. Now we have ready-made pears for us to buy and sell back to the county town, making an immediate profit of 800 to 1,000 taels. Is there anything easier than making money? Father, you have a point. Seeing that his eldest son was still a little dissatisfied, Third Master Su said, don't underestimate Su Chuan. He's even appeared before your great-grandfather. The Su family's current status is based on its credibility and reputation. Don't tarnish our reputation over a mere green jade pear, or I won't be polite to you. Since old Master Su passed away, the Su family has not produced a capable head of the family and has only managed to maintain its status. Now, with the emergence of some extravagant and hedonistic children in the family, its fortunes have begun to decline. The Su family. Husband, how are the green jade pears selling? 3,200 taels. Su Chuan took out the banknotes. Bai Jing patted her chest and said, that's a relief. I was really worried the Su family would just rob us. That's not the case, but I never know. What do you mean, husband? I think Third Master Su's eldest son, Su Tao, seems to be onto something. So what should we do? Bai Jing's heart sank again, a look of worry on her face. Don't worry, Third Master Su is wise, Su Chuan said, holding her hand. He won't ruin the reputation and credibility the Su family has built over the years for a few petty gains. Husband, you're truly remarkable. Bai Jing couldn't help but praise her husband, seeing his foresight. With you, the Su family can become a powerful family like the Su family in the future. The two boys had gone out to play. They were still young, and Su Chuan didn't want to restrict their instincts, so he let them be. With no one around, and seeing Bai Jing's voluptuous figure, Su Chuan's hands began to move. Husband, it's in broad daylight. It's inappropriate. What's inappropriate? Shitao and Aon are not here. Tantao is here. Su Chuan turned his head and saw that the child in Bai Jing's arms had woken up at some point. He opened his black eyes and looked at Su Chuan. They stared at each other. Su Chuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and touched his little face. It's true, forget it, I'll go to Ergo's house. The key and blood pill is very valuable. I have to pay it back. As soon as Su Chuan left, Tantao slowly closed his eyes again, as if there was no more excitement to watch. Chapter 5. Ergo, are you home? Su Chuan walked into Chen Ergo's courtyard. The busy farming season had ended, and Chen Ergo was lounging leisurely on a recliner under the eaves. Seeing Su Chuan, he jumped up in surprise. Brother Chuan, why are you here? Aren't you home with my sister-in-law? I gave him the key and blood pills you brought him, and he's almost recovered in the past few days. I see. Daniu, Fang, your Uncle Su is here. Come out quickly. Two children, about the same age, came out and called out to Su Chuan crisply, Uncle Su, so good. Su Chuan smiled. Come in and play. Upon hearing Chen Ergo's words, the two children happily ran inside. Su Chuan silently took out 100 lying silver note and handed it over. Brother Chuan, what's this? For the key and blood pills. I know they're expensive. Without connections to a martial arts gym, you can't buy them even if you have money. You must accept this money, or don't call me Brother Chuan anymore. With just one sentence, Chen Ergo stopped everything he was about to say. Then I'll take it. Seeing Chen Ergo put it away, Su Chuan asked, last time you said you had something you wanted my help with. Tell me now. My brother wants to trade the internal energy secret manual for the cultivation methods of the jade pear. Do you think it's feasible? Chen Ergo hesitated for a moment before speaking. In the early years, when Su Chuan wanted to grow jade pears, no one was optimistic. But last year, they heard that Su Chuan had sold a large number of jade pears to the Su family, and only then did they realize that he had successfully cultivated jade pears. Many of the common people in Dongxi village were envious. What does Uncle Chen mean? No. Chen Ergo waved his hands quickly. My father disagreed. It was my brother who wanted to do it. I guess he heard that you've cultivated 10 acres of jade pears and are making a lot of money every year, so, he spoke more and more quietly, finally not daring to meet Su Chuan's eyes. Chen Ergo felt helpless. But he had been afraid of his elder brother since he was a child, and now that he had become a warrior, he was even more afraid. He could only serve as a lobbyist. However, he also understood that, regardless of whether Su Chuan possessed the secret recipe, even if he did, it was a golden goose that laid eggs, not a single manual of internal energy. Brother Chuan, don't be angry, I was just mentioning it. Actually, I'm starting to regret speaking up for my brother. After all, this is your unique skill, the very foundation of your livelihood. Exchanging it for just a manual is too much of a loss. Su Chuan thought of Su Yan. Chen Ergo was honest, but Su Yan was incredibly shrewd. She was the type who wouldn't engage in more than a few words unless there was something to gain. Su Chuan was indeed her cousin, but the two families were already 5 generations apart, and their interactions had been rare since his grandfather's generation. His family had prospered and moved to Qianyuan County, where they owned 1 or 2 shops. In the years before Su Yan married Chen Ergo, she hadn't interacted much with the Su family. They just nodded and exchanged small talk. Su Chuan hadn't even realized she was a relative. It wasn't until last year that she started to become more active, visiting from time to time. Then, they acknowledged their relationship. For your sake and Uncle Chen's. It's not impossible to trade, Brother Chuan. Are you serious? Chen Ergo was overjoyed. Ergo, listen to me first. I have a request, Brother Chuan. Go ahead. First, Uncle Chen must be a witness. It must be a fair deal, and we must both agree. Second, Just as practicing the internal energy secret manual doesn't guarantee success even if you're only 50% or 60% sure, so the Qianyuan pair cultivation method I provided can't guarantee success either. If it doesn't work out later, you can't blame my family. Third, the internal energy secret manual must be a superior martial art, plus 10 ki and blood pills. I understand, Chen Ergao nodded. Brother Chuan, I'll go to the county town to find my brother tomorrow. No, today. After Sichuan left, Chen Ergao went to his father's house, asked Su Yan to come back to look after the children, and then he set off for the county town, Black Tiger Martial Arts School. Brother Daming, someone's looking for you outside the martial arts hall. They say it's your younger brother. My younger brother. Chen Daming arrived outside the martial arts hall and saw Chen Ergao. He asked in surprise, "Why are you here?" Chen Daming felt a certain contempt for his mediocre younger brother. Brother Chuan agreed to the question you asked me last time, but he had 3 conditions. Oh, what did Sichuan say? Chen Ergao honestly repeated Sichuan's words. Chen Daming pondered for a moment. This Sichuan is just like what Dad said, a man who refuses to suffer any loss. He asked Dad to be a witness, because he thought we'd find fault with him if we couldn't grow the pears. Chen Daming had also inquired about the green jade pear and knew that growing it was indeed difficult, but if successful, it could become a family legacy for generations. The same goes for the internal energy manual. He still wants a superior internal energy manual? What an ignorant farmer indeed. The more advanced the internal energy manual, the higher the qualifications required. No problem. I just recently acquired a superior manual on internal energy, which I can trade with him. As for the ki and blood pills, Ergao, go back and tell Sichuan that in 7 days, I'll take leave and come home to trade with him. Got it, brother. 7 days later. At Uncle Chen's house. Sichuan presented his memorized instructions for cultivating the green jade pear with Chen Daming. You two have made up your mind. Sichuan looked at Uncle Chen and smiled slightly. Uncle Chen, I want the manual on internal energy, and Brother Daming wants the cultivation method. We both benefit. Dad, stop nagging me. I'm already married and have my own judgment. Uncle Chen curled his lips. Then let's begin. First, confirm whether it's what you want. Once there's no problem, sign and stamp your handprint. The 2 exchanged items. Sichuan first opened the porcelain bottle and sniffed it, then poured out all the ki and blood pills to examine them, then immediately put them back. He then looked at the manual on internal energy, only to see the words Little Dragon Elephant Kung Fu written on the cover. It's a nice name. Sichuan opened it and began to read with gusto. At this moment, Chen Daming looked up and found himself amused. A farmer, with no martial arts training and no martial artist to teach him, expecting to learn on his own. Sichuan, let me tell you, this internal energy manual comes from the Dragon Elephant sect. They were exterminated several years ago, and the manual leaked out. Although it's only a handwritten copy, I can guarantee it's a top-notch manual. There's also the innate Dragon Elephant secret to follow. However, you should know that learning an internal energy manual doesn't make you a martial artist. It also depends on talent and resources. Thanks for the advice, Brother Daming. I've got no problem with that, Sichuan said. Chen Daming also schemed through it. The writing was indeed very detailed, down to the details of site selection, humidity, climate, fertilizer, and so on. That's all right with me, then sign and seal it. Uncle Chen took a drag on his pipe, exhaling a cloud of smoke. Both of them followed his instructions. After Sichuan left, Chen Daming said, Dad, you should copy a copy too. We have forests at home, so you can give it a try. I don't need it. Let Ergao copy it. Sanchu is so smart. He said he is not very confident, which means the chance of successful planting is indeed very low. I don't have the energy to plant it. Dad, do you think too highly of him? There are many talented people in the world. With this kind of planting experience, if you find a few experts in fruit tree planting in Qianyuan County, I don't believe that he can't grow it. As for him, he thinks too highly of himself if he wants to learn martial arts. How can it be so easy to practice Little Dragon Elephant Kung Fu? Is the internal strength secret book fake? Of course it is true. I spent a lot of money on it. Uncle Chen felt relieved. With one hand behind his back and the other hand holding his pipe, he was about to go out for a walk. I can see that you and Sanchu have your own little thoughts, but Daming, in the past 10 years, I have never seen Sanchu suffer a loss. Chen Daming disagreed and muttered to himself, how many people have you met? What kind of powerful people can come out of the small Dongxi village? My dear, I have signed the contract, please vote and read it. Chapter 6 Full Moon Banquet. Dragon Soar, Elephant Step, dividing yin and yang, water and fire converge to refine true energy. The 3 gates and 9 orifices connect heaven and earth. With each breath, one sees the profound and profound. Chuan recited the outline of Little Dragon and Elephant Kung Fu, finding it difficult to understand. Fortunately, however, there were accompanying breathing formulas and 12 movements. The breathing formula read: inhale through the nose, the dragon rises to the top of the head. Beihu, exhale through the mouth, the elephant sinks into the Yongquan. The 3 burners are like a furnace, refining true fire. 1 key circulates through the small heavenly circle. Chuan began practicing the movements as described above. The first movement, Young Dragon awakens the spine. Stand with your feet shoulder width apart. As you inhale, raise your arms like dragon horns, middle fingers facing Beihu. As you exhale, lower your elbows and press your palms together, Lao Gong facing Yongquan. As the saying goes, when a dragon raises its head, it absorbs purple energy, and its tailbone hangs low to the ground, calming the 8 directions. The second form is elephant trunk rolling water, in horse stance. As you inhale, curl your right arm upward like an elephant's trunk, palm facing you. As you exhale, chop downward and leftward. The third form is fire dragon swinging tail. After a few days, progress was average. The only difference was his increased appetite. Chuan possessed the gift of dragon vigor and tiger ferocity. In terms of physical fitness and energy, he was definitely on par with martial artists. However, he also had a vague feeling that this little dragon elephant kung fu was not easy, and that it might take years of practice to see results. Suddenly, it was the day of Su Mingxuan's full moon banquet. Chuan got busy early, setting up a large round table in the yard. If it wasn't enough, he'd borrow some from next door. There was also a square table and benches for the children, which Chuan had crafted himself. In the evening, the couple were busy in the kitchen when they suddenly heard a familiar voice. "It's my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Go ahead, husband. The dishes are ready. All we need is the pot. I'll take care of the rest." Chuan nodded and went outside to greet the guests. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, Chuan began to entertain. The 2 little ones, who had been watching their little brother in the main room, came running out at the sound. "Grandpa, Grandma," the little one said cheerfully. "Shitao, come let Grandpa hold you. Oh, you've gained a lot of weight. You've become an adult, Grandpa. Awen wants a hug too." Bai Fu smiled and lifted Su Mingxuan up. "Where's Ginger?" His mother-in-law looked around. "In the kitchen." "Then I'll go help Ginger while you two chat." His mother-in-law chuckled and walked back to the kitchen. Bai Fu and Chuan went to the main room to check on the sleeping Su Mingxuan and gently rock the crib. "This thing is quite convenient. Sanchu, you're really good at cooking." Chuan just smiled. "Now that we have another child, Tantao, what are your plans for the future?" Bai Fu asked. "After the full moon banquet, I plan to expand the house first, and then I'll consider studying, writing, and martial arts. Food, clothing, housing, and transportation are the most important things for us common people. We can consider studying and martial arts later. With this arrangement, I'm relieved, but I still need your constant guidance, father-in-law. You really are." Chuan flattered him a little, which made him feel very happy. Soon after, his brother-in-law Bai Hui, his sister-in-law Bai Feng and her family, as well as Uncle Chen and his wife, and Shen Ergao's family all arrived with gifts. The courtyard suddenly became lively and filled with joy. 4 or 5 children were noisy and running around, shouting, while the adults sat and chatted. Those in the courtyard were all Chuan's closest friends and relatives. When the banquet began, Chuan picked up his wine glass and stood up, saying loudly, "Thank you all for not leaving me and coming to my son Tantao's full moon banquet. I'll drink first as a token of my respect." With that, he raised his head and downed the wine in his glass in one gulp. He wiped the wine stain from the corner of his mouth and added, "Everyone here is my Chuan's family and friends. No need for formalities. Please enjoy yourself tonight, brother-in-law. Don't be stingy with your own wine tonight, Bai Hui. Since you've said that, don't go home until you're drunk." Everyone burst into laughter. Chen Ergao, his brother-in-law, hurriedly toasted, intending to get Chuan drunk. Uncle Chen and his father-in-law, Bai Fu, were just doing it for show. Su Yan and Bai Feng asked about Bai Jing's health. The women ate and chatted, chatting about family matters. The banquet lasted until the moon was high in the sky. Bai Hua and Chen Ergao left, their legs weak. If they hadn't had their wives to support them, they would have collapsed to the ground and fallen asleep. Bai Jing was cleaning up in the kitchen. Su Mingwei and Su Mingyun, tired from playing, also returned to their rooms and went to bed early. Su Chuan entered the main room and approached the crib. After a moment of silence, he flipped his hand and a book with a black cover appeared in his hand. This was the Bloodline Genealogy, which was only 2 thin pages. He turned to the second page, then found a needle and pricked Su Mingxuan's fingertips, and a drop of blood dripped onto the genealogy. Suddenly, a line of words appeared out of thin air on the second page. Su Mingxuan, the second generation of the Su family, spiritual roots, incomplete 5 elements, no qualifications for cultivating immortals, talent, none, bloodline, none. Above were the genealogical records of Su Mingwei and Su Mingyun, but they were all the same. Among ordinary people, it is almost impossible to find someone with the qualifications for cultivating immortals or special talents or bloodline. Su Chuan did not feel disappointed. Su Mingxuan was pricked and burst into tears, which attracted Bai Jing. The genealogy drilled into Su Chuan's body and disappeared. "What's wrong?" Bai Jing asked. "Su is hungry. You come to feed her and I'll clean up the kitchen, then I'll trouble my husband." After finishing their respective tasks, Su Chuan and Bai Jing finally got on the bed. Bai Jing rested her head on Su Chuan's arm and hugged him sideways. "My dear, today, each family gave gifts, and the others were 1 or 2 taels. The Ergao family gave 15 taels as a gift. I think it's a bit abnormal. Do you know what's going on?" 15 taels. Su Chuan was also surprised for a moment, then smiled and said, "I know, just accept it with peace of mind. I made a deal with Chen Daming before, and exchanged the green jade pear planting experience for a superior internal energy secret book and 10 blood and key pills. The Ergao family should have copied the experience, perhaps because they felt a little indebted, so they did this, sold the green jade pear planting experience." Bai Jing was so shocked that she pressed Su Chuan's chest, propped herself up, and looked at Su Chuan. "My dear, you are confused. This is something worthy of passing down the family legacy. How can you sell it? The internal energy secret book is not worth it. Whether you can practice it is still uncertain." Su Chuan raised his hand and scratched her beautiful nose, smiling lightly. "Don't worry, have you ever seen your husband suffer a loss? Planting experience is certainly useful, but it also depends on who is planting it, and the more this thing is hidden, the more people will think about it. Maybe one day, our family will suffer because of it. Do you still remember what I told you about the Su family not long ago? Now, with the cover of Chen Bo's family, no one will have this idea in the short term. They will probably wait for the results of the Chen family's planting. If they can't grow it, they will give up. If they grow it, I will sell it to them if they want it, so that's how it is. My husband is really smart. He didn't know if it was because he drank too much wine that night, or because he had a warm and soft jade in his arms, but he just felt hot and unbearable. My wife, your husband has worked hard all day today, don't you want to reward him?" Su Chuan held her soft hand and stroked it across his chest. "Gentlemen, add it to your collection so you don't get lost when reading. By the way, please vote and read on." Deleted. "My dear, your husband has worked hard all day. Don't you want to reward him?" Su Chuan held her soft hand and stroked it across his chest, moving it downwards. Bai Jing understood and slowly leaned forward. Chapter 7 Talent Blessing. The sky and earth are dark yellow, the universe is vast and boundless, the sun and moon wax and wane, the stars are spread out, winter comes and summer passes, autumn harvests, winter stores. Early in the morning, Su Chuan taught the 2 children the 1,000-character classic. He wrote 2 copies, one for each of them. He also handcrafted a set of tables and chairs tailored to their heights for easy study. He read a sentence, and the children followed suit, reading the corresponding words on the paper. Clear, childish voices echoed throughout the courtyard. The roosters and hens were out of their co-ops, wandering around, pecking at food. Wisps of smoke slowly rose from the kitchen. After breakfast, Bai Jing held her youngest son and supervised Su Mingwei and Su Mingyun as they copied the manuscript. Each of them meticulously wrote, stroke by stroke. Su Chuan began renovating the house, busy with design, materials, and finding help. Even so, he still found time every day to explore the fields and forests, checking on the situation and weeding. Then, he would practice the small dragon elephant kung fu for an hour. Heaven rewards hard work, only with perseverance can one reap rewards. A month and a half passed in a flash. The Su family's house had transformed dramatically. It now had 5 main rooms, a living room, and a half-acre yard. It was considered upper middle class in Dongxi village. When a new house was built, there was a custom of warming the house, and a banquet was inevitable, and of course, gifts were accepted. The years flew by. In the blink of an eye, it was the New Year's festival. Under Chuan's daily instruction and Bai Jing's strict supervision, Su Mingwei had already learned the entire 1,000-character classic and could write a small number of characters. Su Mingwei, being still young, was only at the stage of learning to read. After the New Year's festival, Chuan finally made the decision to bless Su Mingwei with talent. The Bloodline Genealogy had an extra page after the birth of the second generation, and 5 destiny talents were born. They are innate divine power, seeking profit and avoiding harm, making money with a good method, eagle eyes, and whisper of all spirits. These are all unknown talents that can be bestowed upon Chuan himself. But this thought only flashed through his mind. Because, even if all of them were bestowed upon him, as a mortal, he would be too busy to handle them all. Just like now, even with 3 destiny talents, daily divination is of little use to him at the moment. If a family wants to grow stronger, it naturally needs to work together and be of one mind. This is the long-term way. Shi Tao, you are the eldest son and will support the Su family in the future. Dad intends to let you follow the path of martial arts. Do you have any objections? Chuan changed his usual gentle demeanor and looked very solemn. Su Mingwei also sensed the solemnity in the air around them. He raised his little face, looked directly at Chuan, and nodded. Father has taught us many lessons these days, and Shi Tao understands. Follow father's instructions. Shi Tao will set a good example for his brothers. He won't bring disgrace to the Su family, and won't bring shame to father. Chuan nodded with relief and took out the family tree. Drop a drop of blood on it. Chuan and Su Mingwei were the only 2 people in the main hall. No one else was allowed to enter. Su Mingwei, trusting Chuan completely, did as he was told. Seeing his blood absorbed by the family tree, Su Mingwei was surprised, but he didn't ask any further questions. Next, kneel down, close your eyes, and repeat after me. In the year of UC, I reverently worship the spirits of my ancestors. Their virtues will be passed down to future generations, and their blessings will be bestowed upon the whole family. Never slack off in the spring and autumn, and be filial and sincere. May the gods show their virtues and bless the family reputation. I humbly offer my respects. In the year of UC, I reverently worship the spirits of my ancestors. Their virtues will be passed down to future generations, and their blessings will be bestowed upon the whole family. I humbly offer my respects. As the ancestor and the actual controller of the family tree, Chuan could directly bless himself with talents. However, others had to follow strict guidelines. If Chuan presided over the ceremony, they could select a specific talent for blessing. However, if not, the family tree would randomly grant a destiny talent. When Su Mingwei finished reciting, Chuan felt a translucent thread connecting him to the family tree. The family tree emanated a faint green light and was about to grant a random gift, but Chuan stopped him. He tapped his finger between Su Mingwei's eyebrows and directly granted the 2 talents, innate divine strength, and eagle eyes. Since he was embarking on the path of martial arts, he naturally had to max out the relevant talents. Innate divine strength will allow his strength to grow steadily, far exceeding that of ordinary people, and his muscles and bones will gradually transform, becoming suitable for martial arts. Eagle eyes, as the name suggests, will give him eyes like a hawk, sharp and deep, perceiving everything. With these 2 combined, Su Mingwei's ultimate weapon is destined to be the bow and arrow. Alright, Stone, open your eyes. Su Mingwei obeyed obediently, but when he opened his eyes, he did not see the black booklet. How do you feel? Just now I felt a chill between my eyebrows, but it's gone now. But, Father, what did you mean by that passage you just recited? It's the prayer my Su family uses to honor our ancestors, begging for their protection and prosperity. You must memorize it and pass it down from generation to generation. I understand, Father. Chuan smiled and rubbed Su Mingwei's head. Tomorrow you must get up early and practice martial arts and archery with me. After that, you can study and write with Yuan, and then come with me to inspect the rice fields and the forests. I don't expect you to be an expert in farming, but you should know the basics so you can make decisions when needed. The rest of the time, devote all your time to martial arts practice. Can you do that, Father? The stone can do it. Su Mingwei's childish eyes shone with determination. Thanks to Su Chuan's guidance, Su Mingwei also possessed a hard-working character. Besides his daily reading and writing with Su Mingyin, he spent most of his time with Su Chuan, learning from his knowledge and ways of dealing with people. Su Mingyin felt left out and clamored to join his brother, but Su Chuan refused and even reprimanded him harshly. It was Su Mingwei who consoled him, saying, "From now on, when my brother practices martial arts in the yard, you can come with me." Great, Su Mingyin instantly rejoiced. Every day, he looked forward to Su Mingwei's return so they could join him. A few nights later, "Husband, Shitao is only 6 years old. Aren't you being too strict with him? I've clearly seen the weariness on his face these past few days, and it really hurts." Su Chuan chuckled. "If my wife wants to be a loving mother, then I, your husband, can only be a strict father. If both sides indulge, what kind of person can we raise? Perhaps you're right, but alright." Su Chuan raised his hand to stop her from continuing. He would be tough when he needed to be. Seeing Bai Jing's still worried look, Su Chuan sighed. "Our Shitao is a man of perseverance. Like me, he's hardworking and patient. With a bit of perseverance, he should be able to adapt. Over the next few months, his natural talent will gradually become apparent. Our family isn't short of money right now, so there's no need to be frugal. Add some meat to the daily diet. Shitao's martial arts training also requires this. I understand. Then, my lady, let's get some rest tonight." Su Chuan's hands began to falter, but Bai Jing pushed them away. Bai Jing lay down on her side, saying calmly, "I'm feeling a little unwell tonight. My husband, please take care of it yourself." Su Chuan's eyes widened. This woman is outrageous. After watching quietly for a while, he turned out the lights and went to bed. The next day, the morning light was still as dark as ink, but the eastern sky was already turning a crab shell blue. In the courtyard, the back of Su Chuan's cotton shirt was stained with dark sweat, and his exhalation formed thin arrows of white mist. Young Su Mingwei mimicked his movements, his chubby little arms looking crooked and sluggish, like lotus root joints. Su Chuan would stop and correct him from time to time. Good work would be praised, bad work would be sternly reprimanded. Su Mingwei's eyes were filled with tenacity. Even if he felt wronged, he would simply swallow it, never letting it show. More than half an hour passed. After washing up, it was time to read. The sky and the earth are dark and yellow, the universe is vast and boundless, the sun and the moon wax and wane, the stars are spread out. Two children's voices cut through the mist, startling the sparrows napping under the eaves. It was a brand new day. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8, Thriving. 3 years passed in a flash. 9-year-old Su Mingwei had grown considerably taller, now nearly 1.4 meters tall, looking like a grown man. He had also mastered the breathing techniques and 12 moves of the little dragon elephant kung fu and could practice them on his own. The biggest changes were in his strength and eyes. His innate supernatural power was a gift, and many adults today couldn't match him. His eyes had also become sharper and deeper. Teenagers his age felt a chill in their hearts when they saw him. Not only them, but even adults felt intimidated when they saw his gloomy face. It felt like his eyes were as sharp as a knife, piercing their hearts. However, Su Mingwei mostly kept his edge to himself. Like Su Chuan, he was calm and low-key. March. After the spring rain. The rain-washed earth had a deep, oily shepherd's purse on the ridges, its tender leaves bulging with water droplets. A white egret flew over the rice paddies brimming with spring water, its sharp beak suddenly plunging into the water to snatch up a silver carp. A field mouse emerged from a damp haystack to nibble on the newly sprouted pea seedlings, only to be chased by the old yellow dog watching the water, sending a trail of mud splashing all over it. In the endless rice paddies, Li Shu, wearing a bamboo hat, could be seen bending over to tend the rice seedlings, their bare feet making a gurgling sound as they stepped into the mud. Su Chuan was busy in the rice paddies, and Su Mingwei was also planting rice beside him. Su Mingyin came over carrying a large teapot and 2 covered water cups. "Dad, big brother, Mom asked me to bring you some cold tea." Su Chuan looked up and saw Su Mingyin, smiled slightly, then turned to Su Mingwei, who was diligently planting rice, and said, Shitao, go up and take a rest, Dad, I'm not tired. I'll finish this row soon. I'll take a rest after I finish here, whatever you say, Chuan chuckled and went ashore. He took the tea from Su Mingyan and gulped it down. Su Mingyan looked at Su Mingwei and sighed. Big brother is so serious, like you're a mischievous monkey, always impatient, Chuan said, laughing and scolding him. Su Mingwei stuck out his tongue and chuckled. I'll go help big brother too. He took off his kingman cloth shoes, rolled up his trouser legs to his knees, walked down the rice field, and headed towards Su Mingwei, calling out as he walked, Brother, I'll help you. Su Mingwei looked up and smiled faintly. Thank you, Yuan. Walk slowly, don't fall. Seeing this scene of brotherly love and respect, Chuan was filled with joy. The eldest son was steady and as majestic as a mountain, worthy of inheriting the family line. The second son was jumpy, but smart, intelligent, and flexible. As for the youngest son, now 3 years old, he could walk and run, and was cheerful and lively. Chuan has been practicing the little dragon elephant kung fu for 3 years. Now, whenever he practices, he feels a surge of warm energy coursing through his body. This is internal energy. However, to become a third-rate martial artist, one must open at least 36 acupoints. He has only opened a little over 30 so far. According to the internal energy manual, if all 365 acupoints are opened, one will reach the peak of the acquired realm, with internal energy flowing through the entire body, endlessly regenerating. A first-rate martial artist needs to open 300 acupoints, while a second-rate one needs 108. Although Su Mingwei was a bit slower, he had also opened 20 acupoints. His advantage was his youth, and opening acupoints was even greater, making it easy for him to surpass Chuan in the future. With Su Mingyan joining them, they finished planting rice that morning, and the three of them happily returned home. Upon reaching the door, they were greeted by a burst of delicious aromas. Chicken soup and braised carp, just as Su Mingyan muttered, his stomach growled. Under the eaves, seeing his father and brothers return, Su Mingsun called out in a baby voice, Mom, Dad and my brothers are back. After that, he ran towards Chuan, calling Dad, Dad, Tantao, you only know how to call Dad, what about us? Su Mingyan rubbed Su Mingsun's head and said with narrowed eyes. Second brother, you always steal my things, so I won't call you. He turned his head and shouted to Su Mingwei with a smile, Big brother, hey, I don't believe I can't cure you. Su Mingyan pulled Su Mingsun into his arms and tickled him frantically. Su Mingsun giggled non-stop until he begged for mercy, and then Su Mingyan let him go. Okay, go wash up, and let's eat. Chuan went to the kitchen to glance at Bai Jing, who was busy. Bai Jing smiled when she saw this. Husband, go and eat. My last dish is almost ready, I can smell the fragrance from far away. Thank you, my lady. It's my blessing to marry you, you're so talkative. Bai Jing scolded him with a smile, but it was obvious that she enjoyed it very much. A smile blossomed on her face. That night. Husband, let me tell you something. What is it? Chuan was calm, thinking about Su Mingyan's path. He was 7 years old now, and it was time. However, he planned to ask Su Mingyan about the specifics before carefully considering it. Bai Jing took his big hand and placed it on her belly. Chuan was stunned for a moment, turned his head to look, and blinked. Are you pregnant again? Giving birth was difficult, and Chuan understood that he didn't want to have another one. We weren't. Bai Jing rolled her eyes at him coquettishly. It's all your fault, husband. Now that we've done it, it can't be completely prevented. Even if it gets out of hand, there's always the possibility of a mishap. Don't you want that, husband? How could that be? Chuan said quickly, raising his arms and pulling her into his embrace. Since you're in my Su family, it's fate. Of course you have to give birth. Even if there are 7 or 8 more, we can afford them now. 2 years ago, Chuan bought another 20 acres of farmland and 40 acres of forest. This farmland wasn't rice paddies, and generally cost over 10 taels per acre. Forestry was even cheaper, at 7 or 8 taels per acre, but you had to cut down the trees yourself and clear them before planting fruit trees. These farmlands and forests were used to grow several varieties of fruit, strawberries and loquats in spring, watermelons, lychees, and peaches in summer, persimmons and grapefruits in autumn, and sugarcane and winter jujubes in winter. Tree-grown fruits might take 2 years to bear fruit. However, thanks to Chuan's meticulous cultivation, fruits like watermelons, strawberries, and sugarcane trees were plentiful every year. These fruits alone can bring in hundreds of taels of profit in a year. This is mainly because Sichuan's fruits are well cultivated, and are better than those grown by ordinary people. Everyone buys the fruits from his family first. Then comes other people's families. Today, the Su family has 60 acres of rice fields, 20 acres of farmland and 40 acres of forest and field. In Dongxi village, it is definitely a well-off family with enough food and clothing. A few days later, at Chen Ergao's house, Su Yan came back from patrolling the forest and saw Ergao lying on the recliner with nothing to do, looking leisurely and contented. She was immediately furious. She picked up the broom behind the door and was about to hide him. Oh my god! Chen Ergao jumped up from the recliner, turned around and ran away. Looking at his movements, he was very skilled and tight. Su Yan, what are you doing? Let's talk it over. Don't get physical, don't think I can't beat you. I'm a man who doesn't fight women, haha. If you were as capable as Chuan, I'd obey you and let you do everything. Poor Su Yan, how blind she is to fall for a scoundrel like you. You're not good at martial arts, literature, or farming. What else can you do? Are you going to live off the land? There was a flurry of activity. Their two children, returning from school, saw this scene as if it were normal, and headed straight for the Su family's house. Daniu, Fang, it's almost noon. Why are you here, in the yard? Su Mingwei paused and looked over. Su Mingyan heard the noise and came out. Seeing this, he couldn't help but chuckle and said, Uncle Ergao and Aunt, are they quarreling again? Daniu sighed softly, my father can't compare to Uncle Chuan. He's always been chased by mother with a broom. What's the reason this time? Is it because Aunt is dissatisfied with Uncle Ergao's idleness? Chen Fang exclaimed in surprise. Yuan, you're so smart. You guessed it right. Mother always compares my father to Uncle Chuan. My father is the most powerful man in Dongxi village. How can Uncle Ergao's lazy nature compare to him? Su Mingyan admired Su Chuan immensely, like a god. Daniu, tell me what you have to say. Maybe I can give you some advice. Daniu repeated everything Chen Ergao and his wife had said. Su Mingyan pondered for a moment and said, I heard from my father that green jade pears are not that easy to grow. Aunt is too ambitious and hopes for the best, so she will suffer in the end. In the past 3 years, I think your family has invested a lot in green jade pears. Seeing that all the money is gone, your temper has become unpredictable, leading to discord between husband and wife. I think you should persuade Aunt to give up growing green jade pears. If we don't grow this, what will my family grow? Daniu asked curiously. Su Mingwei also listened quietly, wanting to know what good ideas his younger brother could come up with. Follow my family and grow some ordinary fruits and vegetables. First, you won't have to worry about your family, and second, you can sell them for money. Chapter 9 Su Mingyan's Choice. Is this okay? My father's ability. Daniu didn't want to continue. He was not good at anything and was the best at eating at home. No wonder his uncle looked down on his father. My father said that everyone is born with talents and they must be useful. Everyone has their own strengths and they should follow the trend. He once told me a story. The protagonist of that story was just like Uncle Ergao, an ordinary person, but he embarked on the road of business. From then on, he made a fortune and became a famous wealthy businessman in the southern county. Even the county officials were polite to him. What's the name of this story? The Monster Life of Chen Ergao. Hearing this, several people fell silent. Su Mingyan smiled and continued, in Dongxi village, the one who's closest to my father is Uncle Ergao. Go back and tell Uncle Ergao to give up growing the jade pears and follow my father. You can hire someone to grow them and let my father guide you. We can sell the fruits and vegetables we grow together, but my father isn't interested in business, so I guess Uncle Ergao will do it. As for the profits, I think 70% to 30% is a good idea. 70% for my family and 30% for yours. Why 70% to 30%? Su Mingwei suddenly interrupted, extremely curious about how his brother came up with that ratio. Yet, since Uncle Chuan and my father are good brothers, why not 50% to 50%, or split it based on how much each family contributes? After a few years at the Daily Academy, he was no longer a naive child. Su Mingyan chuckled and began to explain. First of all, if Uncle Ergao wants to grow good fruits and vegetables, if he doesn't ask my father, he should also ask someone who is good at it. Do you think it will cost money? If he just grows them randomly, you can see which household in Dongxi village can make money by growing fruits and vegetables. It's good enough if they don't lose money. Although my father and Uncle Ergao are good brothers, Brothers also have to settle accounts clearly. Your uncle won't help your family for no reason, right? My father is a famous farmer in the surrounding area. Can it be cheap to ask him? If it's just occasional advice, it doesn't matter, but if it's frequent, my father is very busy. Su Mingyan kept talking, and Chen Dania nodded frequently, thinking that what he said was very reasonable. Secondly, we can sell our products together. Regardless of how yours turns out, my fruits and vegetables have already become famous. People in Dongxi village prefer to buy from us first, and even those in the surrounding area do. My father once told me about the brand effect. It's like the century-old herbal medicine and jewelry stores in the county town. If your father and mother went there, wouldn't they be their first choice? With more customers, the profits will naturally be higher. If you sell them separately, you can calculate how much you can ultimately earn. Of course, there's another way to cooperate. We can sell them separately. All the profits from the fruits and vegetables produced by my farmland will belong to us, and yours can also use my father's reputation. The profit can be 30-70 or 20-80. Su Mingwei's eyes lit up. This approach was a win-win situation. It would help Uncle Ergao's family while also bringing in extra income for his own family. After all, Uncle Ergao's family has far more connections than his own. With my father's guidance, the quality won't be too bad. As the scale grows, the annual profits are expected to be very considerable. Su Chuan, standing at the entrance to the hall, was astonished by Su Mingyan's perspective. Although he had given some pointers, the fact that a 7-year-old could understand this level of knowledge and come up with such a collaborative approach was undoubtedly a gift. Making money, it seems he has the talent. Su Chuan smiled faintly, his mind making a decision. Chen Fangfang's eyes lit up as she looked at Su Mingyan with admiration. Yuan, you're so smart. I'll go back and tell my father and mother about this idea. Chen Daniu immediately followed Chen Fangfang back. Yuan, come here, Su Chuan suddenly said. The two men turned to look, then said in unison, Father. Su Mingyan stepped forward and asked curiously, What's up, Father? That idea you just had is quite interesting. How did you come up with it? Father thinks it's a good one, too. Su Mingyan was overjoyed at Su Chuan's approval, his smile spreading uncontrollably. Actually, I was just speculating. Su Chuan smiled faintly. What are your future plans? Do you like business? Or would you like to follow your elder brother and pursue martial arts? Or learn farming from me? Su Mingyan thought for a moment. I've learned martial arts from my elder brother before. I thought it was fun, but then I realized it's too arduous. I can't stick to it every day like him. As for farming, I don't think I'm cut out for it. If you can, let's go into business. I prefer counting money. Well, then come with me. Shitao, you stay outside the house and keep no one in. Yes, Father. Su Chuan intended to bless Su Mingyan with a natural talent. Chen Ergao's courtyard. The couple had calmed down. Chen Daniu and Chen Fangfang returned and shared Su Mingyan's idea with Chen Ergao. Chen Ergao slapped his thigh. That's a great idea. Follow Brother Chuan. You won't suffer any loss. Tisk tisk, what's wrong with Aon's brain? He's only 7 years old, and he already has such ideas. He's no wonder he's Brother Chuan. He's always had his own ideas. Su Yan sneered. Only you, a fool, would agree without even thinking. What's wrong? You won't agree to such a good thing. It's all your fault for wanting Brother Chuan's Qianyuan pair. 3 years of manpower and financial resources were invested, and what's the result? Now all we have is a half-dead sapling. I'm telling you, if you don't want it, let's divide the family property. I'll follow Brother Chuan, and you can live by the Qianyuan pear tree. Su Yan's willow-shaped eyebrows trembled slightly, then gathered together, forming a tiny wrinkle above her nose. She frowned slightly. In just a few years, Su Chuan managed the Su family very well, surpassing Chen Ergao and even catching up with his father-in-law's family. After the old man passed away, Chen Ergao was not the eldest son, so at most he got a portion of the family property. But following the Su family, there was really hope of wealth. However, her relationship with Su Chuan was only average. Even if they called each other cousins, it was only superficial. Relatives beyond the 5th degree of mourning were not as good as close neighbors. Why are you so fierce? Did I say I disagree? Su Yan's tone and expression softened significantly, and she spoke softly. What I want to say is that this is just a joke between children after all. In the end, it still depends on my cousin's consent. Think about it carefully first. and consider the matters of cooperation and the distribution of profits carefully. Then go and discuss it in detail with your cousin, so that he won't be clueless and just nod his head. After all, you are almost 30 years old. Don't let my cousin look down on you. My brother may look down on me, but Brother Chuan will definitely not. We grew up wearing the same crotch pants, Chen Ergao said affirmatively, but then changed the subject. But, my lady, you are right. Then let me think about it and go to Brother Chuan's house in 2 days. At this time, Chen Dainiu and Chen Fangfang's stomachs growled. Su Yan slapped her forehead. Your father was so angry that he forgot to cook. You still have to go to school in the afternoon. Let's go to Uncle Chuan's house for a meal first, then I will go too. Chen Ergao was very shameless. Are you embarrassed? Su Yan's expression changed immediately. Is there nothing to eat at home? The kids have to go to school, and you can't go. If you don't want to go, then don't go. Hurry up, I'm hungry. Chapter 10 Cooperation. Chen Dainiu and Chen Fangfang went to Su Chuan's house again, just in time for lunch. Bai Jing naturally welcomed them. Su Mingwei and Su Mingyun did not go to school, but took time to study at home. Sometimes, Chen Dainiu and his sister would bring textbooks and homework from school for the two brothers to refer to. It must be said that Su Mingwei and Su Mingyun were both smart. Their knowledge was not inferior to theirs, and their experience was even broader. The tempering in real life made them even more outstanding. 3 days later, in the evening, Chen Ergao walked into the courtyard of Su Chuan's house in the sunset, carrying a bottle of fine Huanglian wine. Sister-in-law, is my brother Chuan back? Seeing Bai Jing in the corridor in front of the hall, supervising Su Mingyun and practicing calligraphy, Chen Ergao shouted with a smile. My husband should be back in a while. If you need to see him, sit down and wait for a while. We can have dinner together, thank you, sister-in-law. This is some good wine I stole from my father. He's been hiding it for over a decade, so there's not much left. Bai Jing smiled in surprise, took the wine and brought it inside, bringing him a stool. Chen Ergao looked at Su Mingyun's handwriting and nodded. It's much better than my husband's. You really are a good teacher, sister-in-law. How could I be that good? Your brother Chuan taught them all. I just make sure they complete the homework my husband assigns every day. Brother Chuan, with his knowledge, could be a teacher in his school. Bai Jing chuckled, naturally delighted to hear someone praising her husband. What are you talking about? You look so happy. Ergao is here. Chen Ergao turned to see Su Chuan and Su Mingwei, both carrying hose and with their trouser legs rolled up. Su Mingwei was also holding an iron bucket. Brother Chuan, you're back. Su Mingwei handed the bucket to Bai Jing and said with a simple smile, Mom, Dad and I caught a lot of snails today. Tisk, quite a lot. Bai Jing smiled faintly. But the snails need to be kept for a day or two, otherwise they'll be perfect for your dad and Uncle Ergao to enjoy with their wine. Got something to tell me? Let's talk inside. Dinner will probably be a while. Chen Ergao nodded. Just then, Su Mingxun saw Su Chuan return and ran over, asking him to play with him. Su Mingwei picked Su Mingxun up and said, Tantao, I'll play with you. I'll show you some boxing. Okay, I want to see some boxing. Su Mingxun clapped his hands happily. Bang, bang, bang. As Su Mingwei began to practice his punches, the air made a series of explosive sounds. Chen Ergao was startled and stared at Su Mingwei in the yard for a long time. Brother Chuan, the stone is incredible. It feels like a warrior. I'm afraid in a few years, he'll become a true warrior. Chen Ergao's vision was ultimately limited. If his elder brother were here, he'd probably see at a glance that Su Mingwei was already a warrior with radiant internal energy. He only needed to open 36 acupoints to become a third-rate warrior. Years later, 36-year-old Chen Daiming was still only a second-rate warrior. While he had a talent for martial arts, it was only average, and he would probably remain a second-rate warrior for the rest of his life. My brother also said that you can't practice the little dragon elephant kung fu. I think he himself is not talented enough. Chen Ergao laughed twice. Next time we meet, I will definitely make a few sarcastic remarks. I wonder how his green jade pear tree is doing. Okay, let's talk about business. What do you want me to do today? Chen Ergao said. It's what a Yuan said to my two kids a few days ago. I think it's very appropriate, now that the Su family has been developed to a certain scale by you. If you want to expand it further, you will definitely not be able to do it alone. You also know that I am relatively idle. Things that I don't have time to deal with, you can let me do it. In this way, Everyone is happy. Uncle Chen agrees. My father is very optimistic about you. When I told him, he agreed and said that my brain has opened up. Chuan smiled slightly. Then how do you plan to cooperate? Let's choose the second one. I will sell both of our families. All the profits from your family will belong to your family, and my family's profits will be divided into 30% and 70%. 30% profit, this is not a small amount. Are you really willing to give it up? Chen Ergao patted his chest and said, it doesn't matter if it's 40%. I appreciate your kindness, Brother Chuan. You don't agree? Chen Ergao was a little panicked. No, I'd say 20% is enough. You can handle the planting of the fields yourselves. The amount doesn't matter. I'll just give you guidance. I'll sell it to your family, but I'll have to contribute too. It's not that I don't trust you, but it's only fair. Brother Chuan, you want to do it yourself? Can you handle it? Of course not me. Maya Yuan, Chuan smiled. He's quite talented in business. Having him take time off to follow you around and broaden his horizons would be a very good experience. Yuan is indeed good. If he hadn't suggested it, I would never have thought of it. Chuan nodded. Also, I suggest you talk to your brother and recruit a few honest, trustworthy warriors during the sales period to prevent any accidents. Brother Chuan, you're very thoughtful. Chen Ergao thought carefully and said, I heard from my father not long ago that there was a disaster in the west, and many refugees are heading our way. Really? Chuan narrowed his eyes, thinking he should do some divination when he had time. He had been using the busy farming season lately to calculate the weather and other things. After the two companies agreed to cooperate, Chen Ergao finally let go of his worries, thinking that he could finally sleep peacefully when he returned home tonight. That night, Chen Ergao was drunk, and Su Mingwei had to take him back. But on the way, a figure suddenly jumped out and hit Su Mingwei on the head with a stick, knocking him unconscious. As soon as his hand loosened, Chen Ergao fell directly to the ground with a cry of pain. Su Mingwei covered his head and turned his head to look carefully. Although the night was hazy, he also had a pair of extraordinary eyes. In the dark corner, a ragged beggar was seen, holding a wooden stick in his hand, his body trembling slightly, staring at Su Mingwei with green eyes like a wolf. Seeing that he had hit him with all his strength, but the other party was not hurt, his eyes were full of disbelief. Who are you? Su Mingwei shouted. As soon as the words fell, the disheveled beggar turned around and ran away. Su Mingwei wanted to chase him, but Chen Ergao held his legs tightly, shouting, Wife, wife. Su Mingwei couldn't leave Chen Ergao alone here, so he helped him up and sent him home. Then, he didn't forget to remind Su Yan not to go out casually at night, saying that he himself had been hit by a club. If it weren't for his good physical fitness, the two of them might have been robbed of their belongings, and even their lives would have been in danger. Is that so? Then Shitao, you should be careful when you go back. After Su Mingwei returned home, he also told Chuan about this. Beggar, it looks like there will be chaos for a while. Don't go out at night if you have nothing to do. Got it, Dad? Chapter 11 Night Raid. Recently, a large influx of refugees has been pouring in from over a dozen counties surrounding Qianyuan County. Su Mingwei's encounter with a bludgeoning attack is not an isolated case. It's just that people generally don't carry much valuables when traveling, and since the incident couldn't be found and no one was killed, the matter was left unresolved. For days, Chuan had seen suspicious figures around his home. So, he set up traps around the wall, like nails and mousetraps. If anyone climbed over, they would be in trouble. He also set up warning bells. When the traps were triggered, the warning bells would ring everywhere. Today's hexagram, medium to bad. 5 people climbed over the wall at midnight today, intending to kill and steal. Chuan sneered inwardly. The Su family was well known in Dongxi village, but without the numerous retainers and guards of the Su family, it was natural for them to be targeted. I wonder if there are any warriors among these people, but even if the probability is small, we must be on guard. Just those nails and mousetraps are enough for ordinary refugees, but if they encounter warriors, their effect will be limited. He made some simple crossbows and placed them on the eaves on both sides after nightfall. Triggering the mechanism will cause these crossbows to shoot indiscriminately, and then the warning bells were removed. When going out today, Chuan simply took a round of inspection. All he was thinking about was what would happen tonight. Shitao, there may be thieves coming to rob tonight. A moment before midnight, You stay on the roof with a bow and wait for the opportunity to shoot and kill. Can you do it? Chuan said abruptly, his expression very solemn. Father, is this true? If you believe me, then do as I say. This concerns the safety of our entire family. Su Mingwei didn't ask any further questions. I understand, Father. I'll do whatever you say. Although he didn't possess the strength of a third-rate warrior, his innate divine power, coupled with his sharp eagle eyes and long-range bow, a sudden attack under the cover of night would pose a significant threat to even a second-rate warrior. Father, should we poison the arrows? Wouldn't that bother you? Chuan looked at Su Mingwei with some surprise. Su Mingwei's eyes sharpened, like blades, a murderous intent condensing within them. Anyone who dares to threaten our family must be eliminated forever. Yes, Chuan nodded. Just do as you wish, knight. The bright moon retreated behind a dark cloud, the stars dim and uncertain. On the bed, Chuan lay quietly, his vitality full. Husband, would you like me to help you vent your anger? Chuan smiled, uncharacteristically. This anger has other uses, it's just right to be kept. Bai Jing was puzzled. What for? Did he intend to use it on someone else? The someone Bai Jing imagined was, of course, another woman. Alright, go to bed early tonight. You have to get up early tomorrow. Bai Jing felt Chuan wasn't the type, so she laid down and quickly fell asleep. In another room, Su Mingwei lit a candle, cleaned his bow and arrow, and applied poison to the tip. The room was filled with the atmosphere of soldiers in the barracks, awaiting the eve of a major battle. Depressing. Dull. It was just before midnight. Su Mingwei, following Chuan's instructions, quiver on his back, bow and arrow in hand, leaped onto the rooftop in a matter of seconds. Chuan stepped out and glanced at the rooftop. The moonlight was dim, and Su Mingwei almost blended into the night. He found an axe and stood in the shadows beneath the eaves. Like an assassin, he waited for his moment to strike the killing blow. A quarter of an hour later. Brother, this is it. This family, surnamed Su, has prospered very quickly, becoming a wealthy family in Dongxi village in just a few years. I heard the owner is skilled in agriculture and luckily grew green jade pears. This alone should bring in 3,000 to 4,000 taels of silver annually. A family of 5, the couple and 3 sons, the oldest no more than 9. A burly middle-aged man in grey cloth glanced at the shorter youth and said calmly, Old 5, you've chosen well. Brothers, be quick. Leave no one behind from this family. After recovering their belongings, leave Qianyuan County overnight, as you did before. With so many refugees these days, finding a few people is incredibly difficult. Yes, Boss Shuang. Several men simultaneously began to scale the wall, their movements clearly showing that they were veterans. However, they were likely not entry-level warriors. Otherwise, even a third-rate warrior would have easily leaped over the nearly 4-meter-high wall in a few leaps. The moment they landed. Hiss, 3 of them gasped, unable to suppress a low cry of surprise. And that was the result of gritting one's teeth and holding back. Are you 3 looking for death? Boss Shuang growled, his throat grumbling in displeasure. No, Boss Shuang, we've stepped on a nail. Alright, just be careful. If anyone makes another noise, I'll be rude to them later. After a few cautious steps, one of the tall men felt something pull on his ankle. The next moment, whoosh, whoosh, 7 or 8 crossbow bolts blazed down from under the eaves. 2 were struck in the head and heart, instantly dead. The remaining 3 sustained varying degrees of injuries. One was struck in the abdomen, another in the leg, and fell to the ground. Another suffered a grazed arm. Damn it, Boss Shuang growled, hastily shouting, there's an ambush. Retreat. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Mingwei, who had been waiting on the rooftop for a long time, had already drawn his bowstring to full moon, his sharp eagle eyes fixed on the man with the arrow in the abdomen. Swish, the sound of arrows piercing the air resounded. A black arrow streaked through the night sky, instantly piercing his throat, exiting from behind and lodging itself in the wall behind him. Second brother, Boss Shuang's eyes blazed with bloodshot as he gazed towards the rooftops. The moon peeked out from behind the dark clouds. Its cool, clear light cast a silvery veil over Su Mingwei. It was a young man's face, cold as ice. A sharp, penetrating gaze pierced his eyes like an arrow. Just a boy. Boss Shuang was filled with shock and anger. Su Mingwei drew his bow again, drawing his attention. At that moment, Chuan seized the opportunity, exerting a sudden force, almost leaping over him in a single stride. The gleaming hatchet, driven by the force of the fall, descended directly upon his head. Decisive. Ruthless. Boss Shong had only time to raise his axe to block the blow, but the immense force cracked his knuckles, and the axe in his hand fell to the ground. He collapsed to the ground. Amidst his fear, Chuan spun and swung, the blade of his hatchet perfectly slicing across his throat. A stream of scalding liquid sprayed out, dotted across Chuan's body and face. Then, another whoosh, the one who'd initially injured his leg and fallen to the ground was pinned to the ground by Su Mingwei. Seeing all the thieves dead, Su Mingwei's heart finally relaxed, and he sat down. He looked at his hands, which were trembling constantly. He could barely hold his bow. A constant buzzing in his head made him feel dizzy. As for Chuan, he had already begun to search the corpse. From Boss Shuang's body, he found 3,600 taels of silver, a manual on internal energy called Wild Bear Power, and a small porcelain bottle containing 6 Qian blood pills. The rest of the men were penniless. It seems they've already robbed quite a few wealthy families. Chuan began to clean up the scene. Su Mingwei, regaining his composure, quickly jumped from the rooftop to help. Let's drag them all to the forest and bury them, clean the arrows and you can use them again. Remember to wipe off the venom first. Yes, father. Chapter 12, Refugee Father and Son. The next day, the golden crow rose in the east as usual. The mechanisms were also dismantled to prevent anyone from accidentally triggering them. In the yard, Chuan and Su Mingwei, father and son, were practicing the little dragon elephant kung fu together. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of the two fighting continued to be heard, waking Bai Jing up. She walked out with her clothes draped over her, yawning and saying, "Husband, Shitao, when did you get up?" Chuan chuckled, "It's still early, my wife, you can go back to sleep, I'm not lazy." "Husband, you all got up, so I should too. Do you have any clothes to change?" "I'll go wash them first." "Yes, I've put them in the usual place." Bai Jing nodded, went back to put on her clothes, and went to the nearby square pond with a wooden basin. "Dad, will Mom find out?" Su Mingwei looked at Chuan with some concern. Chuan smiled. "Although it was a simple treatment, it's not foolproof. But it's okay to discover it. Your mother is sensible, and I'm your father, isn't she?" "Yes," Su Mingwei replied, then shouted, "Father, be careful. Watch this fire dragon tail." He lunged forward with his left leg, lifting his right knee as he inhaled, and sweeping his calf like a flaming whip as he exhaled. This was it. The tail sweeps with 1,000 pounds to incinerate evil, while the foot steps off the ground to refine the true fire. The two sparred for 2 or 3/4 of an hour, sweat dripping from their bodies, but their expressions remained undimmed. One possessed innate supernatural power, excelling in strength and vitality. The other possessed dragon-like vigor and ferocity, excelling in the stamina of his blood. Puff, Su Mingwei's body suddenly gave way to a strange phenomenon, and the next moment he exclaimed joyfully, "Father, I've opened another acupoint. Youth is good." Chuan paused. "Just a few more reps, then rest." Yes, Su Mingwei was young and full of energy. In less than 2 years, he would surpass the opponent. But Chuan possessed not only the vigor of a dragon and a tiger, but also the virtue of heaven's reward for hard work. He accumulated strength and then unleashed it. The further he progressed, the slower he became, requiring the aid of Qian blood herbs to open the acupoints. But even without these, Chuan's progress wouldn't slow him down, it would actually accelerate. Time passed. In recent days, more and more refugees had appeared. Some had flocked to Qianyuan County, while others had simply stayed in Dongxi village, seeking food. Chen Ergao's family rented 30 acres of farmland, adding to the previous 20 acres to plant the fruits and vegetables Chuan had specified. The jade fruit trees in the 30 acres of forest were also removed and replaced with other fruit trees. The workload was considerable, so they recruited a dozen refugees as temporary laborers. "Mother, there are refugees at the door," Su Mingwei's voice rang out. Behind him, Su Mingxuan, half his head exposed, timidly looked at the ragged man outside. The man was holding a skinny little boy of 3 or 4 years old, his eyes dull. Bai Jing came out, glanced at them, and said to Su Mingwei, "Yuan, go get them some water and some dry food." "Yes, mother, thank you, goddess." The man knelt and kowtowed repeatedly, his head pounding loudly, dragging the little boy with him. "No, no, hurry up. The child is here. You'll scare him." "Yes, yes, yes." The man replied repeatedly, no longer kowtowing. Soon, Su Mingyun returned with the food and rations. The man took them and devoured them, not forgetting to let the little boy eat as well. Su Mingyun suddenly thought of something and ran back to the house, bringing back some exquisite pastries. They were sweet and soft snacks Su Chuan had taken time to make for him. This is for you. Dad made this for me. It's delicious. Su Mingyun handed the pastry to the little boy. The boy took it in a daze, glanced at the bedraggled man, and only began to eat after he nodded. After taking a bite, his cloudy eyes suddenly brightened. Su Chuan taught him to share. Su Mingyun hadn't appreciated this before, but this time, he felt particularly happy. Bai Jing patted Su Mingyun's head with satisfaction. Under Su Chuan's guidance, every child had excelled, a feat envied by countless people in Dongxi village. After watching the man eat a large pancake, Bai Jing asked, "Are you fleeing here too?" "Yes, we're from Xishan County. There was a once-in-a-century flood there, and many people were swept away. Homes were destroyed, and farmland was submerged. We're homeless, so we had to leave our homes and head south. How pitiful. What are your plans for the future?" "Nothing," the man sighed. "My eldest daughter died of starvation on the way here, and her mother, who saved her rations for us, also died of starvation." A thought struck him, and he quickly knelt and kowtowed again, begging, "Please, Goddess, have mercy on me and my son and take him in. We're willing to be his slaves, just for a bite of food. Even if that's not possible, at least have pity on this child, he can't eat much." Su Mingyun tugged at Bai Jing's clothes and said sympathetically, "Mother, they're so pitiful." Su Mingyun watched silently, silent. It was useless for them to say whether to take them in or not. Without their father's permission, their mother couldn't make the decision. Besides, the refugees were said to number in the hundreds of thousands. How could they possibly help? Bai Jing hesitated for a moment, feeling somewhat apprehensive. "Then you two should wait at the door for now. I, a woman, can't make the decision. I have to wait for my husband to return and let him make the decision." "Yes, yes, yes. We're willing to wait. Even if it doesn't work out, that's fine." At noon, Su Chuan and Su Mingwei returned home and saw the refugee father and son at the door. They asked curiously, "Who are you?" Bai Jing walked over and briefly explained the situation to Su Chuan. Su Chuan pondered for a moment. "We'll discuss this tomorrow. However, you and your son can stay in the open space next to my house. I'll have my son bring you a simple tent this afternoon. We'll also give you some food. Even if we don't keep you, we'll still give you some rations and water to get you going." "Thank you, sir. Thank you very much." Given the Su family's current size, it was indeed time for them to expand. Naturally, they would need servants and guards. But he didn't want just anyone. The next day, after waking up, Su Chuan began to utilize his daily divination, horoscope talent. Today's divination, auspicious. You accepted the Li father and son, once a prominent family in Xishan County. Both of them have a talent for martial arts. The father's talent is average, while the son's is quite talented and has the potential to be born with talent, a prominent family. That skinny little boy actually has talent, no wonder it's auspicious. If we accept him, it will be a great help to the Su family's future, but if they are a prominent family, how could they have fallen to such a state? Most of the refugees are ordinary people, unless it's a revenge killing. Su Chuan lay in bed, pondering for a long time. Xishan County is thousands of miles away. To have made it here alive, they must have had some luck. Since it's auspicious, I guess there won't be any trouble behind the scenes. With influence spanning several counties, I guess only some of the big families in the county towns can achieve this. Chapter 13, Recruiting Servants. The Su family compound. After a night of rest and plenty of food, the refugee father and son were in better spirits. They stood quietly in the courtyard, their older hands tightly clasped, their heads bowed, awaiting Su Chuan's decision. "First, tell me your names and backgrounds," Su Chuan said calmly. The refugee man raised his head and said, "My younger brother is Li Qianfeng, 28 years old. This is my son, Li Tai-A, 4 years old. We've fled from Xishan County." Qianfeng, Tai-A, such impressive names. Your Li family isn't an ordinary family, is it? Your face is gloomy, but your eyes are bright. I can tell you've practiced martial arts." Li Qianfeng shuddered, astonished. He hadn't expected such insightful people to emerge from such a small village. Li Qianfeng hesitated for a moment. My Su family doesn't accept people who tell lies. Li Qianfeng felt a pang of sorrow. He had once been the elegant second master of the Li family, as everyone in Zishan County called him. Now his family was annihilated, and he didn't know how many of his family members survived. The past was like smoke, returning to dust. Li Qianfeng looked at his youngest son, his eyes filled with pity. All he wanted now was a place to stay, to spare his son the hardship of wandering. So, Li Qianfeng slowly began to recount his family's origins. Hearing this, Chuan paced back and forth, feigning contemplation. After a moment, he addressed the Li father and son, saying, I'll take you in, but I'll only take servants. In return, since your Li family has enemies, if you stay, you must change your name. I'll provide food, clothing, shelter, and even martial arts training for your son. If you agree, I'll keep you and your son. Upon hearing this offer, Li Qianfeng began to ponder deeply. The Su family was far smaller than their own, not even 1/10 as powerful, yet Chuan struck him as unfathomable. His ambitions were far greater, as if he wanted to build the Su family into a powerful and prestigious family. Kind-hearted people were rare in this world. He had begged a few before, but those who offered him a sip of water were considered good. Most ordinary Li people simply couldn't afford to stay, so they had no choice but to go to Qianyuan County. But who knew how many days of living in the open air would be involved? Even he couldn't handle it, let alone his son. He'd already reached his limit. Now, having barely recovered, he probably couldn't endure the turbulent journey. Li Qianfeng could see that the Su family was a kind-hearted people from top to bottom. After much consideration, he pulled Li Taya to his knees and said, I am willing to serve my son and I in the Su family, willingly and without regrets. Chuan smiled slightly. Since that's the case, I'll give you and your son new names. Please, master, grant me a name. You will be called Li from now on, and your son will be Li Zhi. Thank you, master. Chuan then introduced his family. Madam, please clear out a spare room for them and their son to live in. Once you've recuperated and regained your strength, I'll find someone to help you build a house nearby. Thank you, master, and thank you, madam, Li said respectfully. Bai Jing smiled slightly. Shi Tao, go get some paper and pen, write out the slave contract, and have them sign it. Yes, father, 2 copies. After signing, Chuan said, come with me to the county government office in a few days to re-register your household and settle in Dongxi village, otherwise your illegal household will not be able to withstand investigation. Yes, master, Chuan ordered, and Li nodded in response. Su Mingxun was very happy to have a playmate of the same age, and took him to look at his toys. A few days later, Chuan and Li and his son went to Qianyuan County Government Office. Yang Zhao was the chief clerk of the county government office, and he was in charge of household registration. Greetings, Chief Clerk Yang. Chuan bowed respectfully. Chief Clerk Yang looked at the young man in the green robe in front of him and felt that he looked familiar. I seem to have seen you somewhere. Clerk Yang has a good memory. A few years ago, you came to Dongxi village to handle the Yu family's land and property. I led the way, Chuan said with a smile. So it's you. I remember your name is Chuan, right? What do you want me to do for you today? Yang Zhao remembered that he had promised him a small favor. Master Yang, you misunderstood. I'm not here to trouble you. I'm here to bring these 2 to register their household registration and settle down in Dongxi village. Yang Zhao looked at Li and his son. They were no longer tattered and disheveled. Though still a little thin, they were both handsome and had a heroic air. Settled down, they were forced to flee the floods to the west and are desperate. They're willing to serve me. I figured even servants should have some status. Yang Zhao nodded. This kind of thing was common. Unable to return home soon, without a livelihood, they either became beggars or became slaves, dependent on others for their livelihood. Yang Zhao didn't want to ask any more questions. He looked at Li and said, are you and your son voluntarily settling in Dongxi village? Yes, sir. In that case, please state your names and ages. The household registration fee for outsiders was 5 taels of silver per person, naturally paid by Chuan. Once settled, their descendants could register without paying any more silver. Thank you, sir. Nothing else, I'll take my leave. After finishing his business, Chuan had to rush home. Wait, I have something to ask you. There are so many refugees this time. How is the situation in your Dongxi village? Is it chaotic? Dongxi village is currently relatively stable. Wealthy families in need will take in a few temporary workers or servants. The disaster had brought a large influx of refugees throughout Yuhu County. The various counties and the county seat were grappling with how to deal with this influx. Although Yang Zhao wasn't a county magistrate or a county seat, if his good suggestions were adopted, it would be a political achievement, greatly benefiting his future promotion. When he saw Su Chuan's attire, he knew that the Su family must have done well in the past few years. After all, the last time he saw him, he was still wearing coarse linen clothes, like an ordinary commoner. Now his clothing expenses are close to those of some wealthy families. Therefore, he suddenly had an idea and wanted to hear if he could have any good ideas from him. So how do you think we should resettle these refugees? Su Chuan was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Yang Zhao to ask such a question. The county magistrate has his own considerations on this matter. How dare I make comments casually? Su Chuan said with a look of panic. You can say whatever you want, and I'll listen. If what you say is good, I'll owe you another favor. Do you like owing favors so much? Then let me share my humble opinion, Su Chuan began. It is definitely not possible to leave the refugees alone. If they are allowed to become beggars, it will also affect the public security of the entire Qianyuan County. It is best to find a place for them to stay together, and then register and manage them one by one to avoid chaos. Those who are interested in settling down can be exempted from some handling fees and carry out household registration, provide a few days of rations, and the county government will provide some labor opportunities, such as building water conservancy projects and roads, to absorb part of the population, and mobilize the wealthy households in Qianyuan County to absorb part of the population internally. The specific situation depends on the number of refugees in Qianyuan County this time, and how much the county government and the wealthy households can absorb. Yang Zhao didn't care much at first, but after listening, his eyes became serious. I know the county government is offering labor opportunities, but how will the wealthy families absorb them? Su Chuan smiled softly. The disaster in the west this time is quite large, and many of the refugees are skilled in martial arts, perhaps even potential warriors. What wealthy family wouldn't want these high-quality servants? The county government could select those interested in becoming servants, call upon the wealthy families, and openly recruit them. We could even collect a small amount of silver from the wealthy families to subsidize the refugees' food costs and alleviate the county government's financial pressure. Well, is there anything else? Yang Zhao nodded and continued to inquire. Also, if there is any vacant farmland in the villages under Qianyuan County's jurisdiction, we could rent it out free of charge to refugees willing to settle there for the first 2 years, then increase the rental fee until we recoup our costs. Yang Zhao remained expressionless, but inwardly he was deeply shocked. He hadn't expected an ordinary commoner to have such remarkable insights, which had greatly broadened his horizons. No wonder the family had grown so rapidly in just a few years. What a talent! Su Chuan continued, these are just my humble opinions. There are many details involved, such as how to distinguish good from bad citizens and how to choose those who will be granted free land. I understand. Yang Zhao pondered for a moment, then smiled at Su Chuan. I owe you another favor in this matter. This is my Yang family token. Take it. Most officials will show some respect. Thank you, Chief Clerk Yang. Su Chuan didn't refuse. After accepting it, he bowed again and said, then I'll leave first. Go. Su Chuan and Li and his son returned home that afternoon. Yang Zhao, based on Su Chuan's suggestions, began to write a detailed resettlement plan for the refugees. Chapter 14, Chilled Melon. Time passed slowly, and summer arrived in the blink of an eye. The weather was scorching, the sun like a giant fireball high in the sky, scorching the earth. During this time, Su Chuan took in 3 more servants, all young men in their 20s. They were all refugees. One of them, Zhou Ming, had management skills. Quick-witted and able to help with chores and immediate disputes. The other 3 had all practiced martial arts and were considered warriors, but their families were modest, and their busy schedules meant they had yet to open the 36 acupoints. However, they all adhered to the basic principles and refrained from resorting to violence. This is why Su Chuan favored them. They became guards of the Su family's home, fields, and forests. If Su Chuan provided them with a large supply of medicinal food, ki-boosting herbs, and other resources, all 3 had the potential to become third-rate, or even second-rate, warriors. Several simple thatched huts had appeared around the Su family's residence, and these were theirs. They served only as their homes. As for food, they ate in the Su family courtyard, sharing meals with Su Chuan and his companions. Brother Chuan, the watermelons in the melon fields are ripe. When are we going to pick them? Chen Erga rushed to the Su family's house, his expression tinged with excitement. After all, this was his first time doing serious business. I went to check this morning. We can pick them tomorrow and sell them around the area the day after tomorrow. Su Chuan smiled and said, let Zhao Dalan, Sun Fuge, and Jin Yao Ke come along. They have some martial arts skills, so they can handle a dozen or so grown men without any problem. Yeah, that way I don't have to go look for my brother. After all, I don't want to see that sullen face of his that looks down on everyone. Uncle Ergao, Su Mingyan said, emerging from his room. Uncle Ergao, he said with a smile. Chen Ergao stepped forward, patted him on the shoulder, and said cheerfully, aren't you excited to go around the area selling melons with Uncle Ergao the day after tomorrow? Uncle Ergao, you're just excited. It's just selling melons, not some big business, Su Mingyan said calmly. Hey, how dare you talk to your Uncle Ergao like that? I think you're looking for a fight. Chen Ergao pretended to raise his hand, but Su Mingyan wasn't afraid at all. He could tell at a glance whether he was joking or not. No matter what, Chen Ergao wouldn't lecture him in front of Su Chuan. The day after tomorrow, Su Mingyan and Chen Ergao and the others set off. Bai Jing's face was filled with worry, a hint of reluctance in her eyes. After all, Su Mingyan was only 7 years old, and he was going on a long journey, away for several days. A mother worries when her child is away. Su Chuan sighed inwardly, took Bai Jing's hand, and comforted her, with Ergao and Dalan here, it'll be okay. Zhao Dalan bowed to Su Chuan and said, don't worry, patriarch. We will ensure the second young master is safe and returns safe and sound. Su Mingyan replied, Mother, my son is only away for a few days and will be back soon. Let's go. Dozens of carts of melons, worth hundreds of taels. The Su family took 35% and the Chen family 65%. Everyone in Dongxi knew the Su family's melons were excellent, so before Chen Ergao and his companions had even left the village, several families had already bought a few to try. In no time, hundreds had been sold. Dad, I want some melon, Su Mingxuan, feeling the heat, ran over. Su Chuan smiled and readily agreed, okay, wait for Dad to cool the watermelon down first. He found a large wooden barrel, filled it with water, threw in a white crystal, and then placed a watermelon, weighing 4 or 5 pounds, into the barrel. The watermelon bobbed and sank. Su Mingxuan reached in, then looked at Su Chuan in surprise. Dad, the water's so cold, really? In half an hour, we can enjoy the chilled watermelon. Great. Su Mingxuan scurried off to play with Li Zhi. Li Zhi was no longer scrawny, but had returned to the appearance of a normal 3 or 4-year-old. He was chubby, with a hint of handsomeness in his features. Su Chuan thought for a moment and added 2 smaller watermelons. Half an hour later, he called Su Mingwei over, pointed at the watermelons in the bucket, and said, Shitao, take one each to Uncle Chen's house and your Uncle Ergao's. Okay, Dad. Su Mingwei left with the 2 watermelons and quickly arrived at Chen Ergao's house. After delivering them, he went to Uncle Chen's house. Grandpa Chen, these are some chilled watermelons my father brought. It's hot this summer, you should try some to cool down. Chilled. Uncle Chen touched the watermelon and exclaimed in surprise, you really are. Your father is becoming more and more capable. Su Mingwei smiled shyly. Thank you, Dad, for me. When Su Mingwei returned, Su Chuan, Bai Jing, and Li and his son were also enjoying their watermelons. He walked over and casually picked up a piece of cut watermelon from the table. Then, sitting next to Su Chuan, he took a bite. Suddenly, the pale red juice splashed. So sweet. 5 days later, the watermelon vendors returned. The trip went very smoothly, and all the melons were sold out, with a total of more than 300 taels. Chen Ergao's house. When Su Yan saw the nearly 100 taels of silver that Chen Ergao brought back, her eyes smiled into crescents. She counted the silver and copper coins several times. This is the money from selling watermelons, and there are other seasonal fruits, which can be sold for 100 or 200 taels in total. As for the 30 acres of mountain forest fruit trees, the earliest they can be harvested is next year or the year after. The total value can be at least 300 or 400 taels. My wife, let me tell you, our melon sales are very smooth. When other places hear that they are grown by Brother Chuan's family, they basically don't bargain. Chen Ergao drank his tea leisurely with a proud smile on his face. That's great. Next time, you can raise the price. No, I did, but Chuan turned it down. He said these melons are already a bit higher than usual and we're already making a good profit. There's no need to ruin their reputation. Besides, he's giving a gift to anyone who buys 5 or more at once. What gift? It looks like some kind of stone. Put it in water to lower the temperature and make chilled watermelons. So that's how the chilled watermelons came from last time. Su Yan was quite surprised. She thought there were many commercial opportunities with a stone, especially in the summer, where it would sell very well. Did you ask where the stone came from? I did, but Chuan doesn't know. Brother Chuan gave it to him, and the quantity wasn't large. Chen Ergao's eyes rolled, and he stretched his legs out on the bench. My wife, now you see your husband's abilities. Don't you? Come give me a shoulder massage and a leg rub. I've been exhausted these past few days. Chen Ergao wanted to show some masculine authority. Su Yan glanced at him, letting him experience it for himself. Chen Ergao was exhausted. This woman. Making money and still treating me like this is really hard to deal with. By the way, let's have dinner at Brother Chuan's house tonight to celebrate this trip. That evening, Su Yan naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity and asked about the origins of the white stone. Su Chuan simply said that he had stumbled upon it in the mountains and forests and unexpectedly discovered its use. This wasn't a lie. It was just that after some investigation and research, he discovered a saltpeter mine nearby. However, he didn't have the capacity to mine it yet, so he had to put it on hold for the time being. The most important thing was that the forest was unowned and technically belonged to the Qianyuan County government. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 Su Mingshu and Su Mingxin. Time flew by. In a flash, it was the New Year's Eve. Su Chuan had reached the age of 30. The next day, at 1 in the morning, Bai Jing felt an unexplained pain in her stomach and was about to go into labor again. Dallin, Fugue, go get the midwife. Su Chuan had already made an appointment with a midwife and asked her to be available in the next few days. The two men, dissatisfied with the midwife's slow pace, carried her and rushed to the Su family's house, frightening her so much that her face turned pale. Then, struggling, screaming. 2 or 3 hours later, the birth was successful. This time, they gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. The girl was born first and was named Su Mingshu, nicknamed Zuji by Su Chuan. The boy was named Su Mingxin, nicknamed Yunyu. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, it was the full moon banquet for the two children. Bai's relatives and friends, including Uncle Chen, came to celebrate. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, they left. Su Chuan walked into the main hall and took the blood from the two women's fingertips to enter into the family tree. Su Mingshu, second generation of the Su family, spiritual roots, incomplete 5 elements, no aptitude for cultivation, talent, none, bloodline, none. Note, soul power is twice that of a normal person, naturally sharp psychic perception, with soul power twice that of a normal person and naturally sharp psychic perception. It seems Xiao Zuji is exceptionally gifted. Perhaps she's suited for whisper of all spirits, and could tame wild beasts in the future. Then, Su Chuan looked at Su Mingxin's message. Su Mingxin, second generation of the Su family, spiritual roots, complete 5 elements, can cultivate. Mixed spiritual root aptitude, talent, unstoppable power, bloodline, none. Note, cultivators possess all 5 elements. Aptitude is categorized as pseudo-spiritual roots, mixed spiritual roots, true spiritual roots, earth spiritual roots, and heavenly spiritual roots, primarily based on the purity of their spiritual roots. Unstoppable power, drawing ki into the body, mana recovery speed is several times that of others. At its peak, it can reach several times the rate, truly possessing the power to swallow mountains and rivers, a natural talent for cultivation. Su Chuan's face lit up with ecstasy. The Su family had finally produced a person with a natural talent for cultivating immortals. This meant that the second generation would have the potential to encounter the world of immortals. At the same time, Su Chuan's mind suddenly flooded with a flood of information, which turned out to be a tome on how to achieve immortality from the mortal realm. Titled The Innate 5 Elements Creation Technique, This was the technique bestowed upon the Su family's first descendant gifted with immortal cultivation, a technique bestowed upon them by the family tree. It could only be practiced by those who had reached the Qianyuan realm of martial arts. It could replenish the deficiencies of the 5 elements, purify spiritual roots, and ultimately reach the level of true spiritual roots. From mortal to immortal. What a technique for achieving immortality! Chuan felt the urge to burst out laughing. With this technique, the Su family would have a generation of talented cultivators. No, Chuan suppressed his excitement, his chest heaving violently. He tilted his head back and took a deep breath. His Adam's apple rolling up and down as he slowly exhaled, his tense shoulders collapsing. It can't be too conspicuous. Only when someone in the 2nd generation achieves innate talent can it be bestowed. Starting from the 3rd generation, the number of family members will increase dramatically, so we must select the best to bestow destiny, talents, and cultivation techniques. In an instant, Chuan made a rough plan for the future of the Su family. Although they were all his descendants, with each generation, there would be too many members, and it would be impossible to treat everyone equally. A distinction must be made between the main branch and the minor branch, the direct line and the side branches. Mingxin, you really did choose the right name, and you have destiny and talent, so inspiring, a natural-born immortal. Chuan raised her high with both hands, his eyes gleaming and a grin widening. The next moment, Su Mingxin burst into tears, and a warm, clear spring shot out from her thighs in a parabolic arc, shooting accurately. Puff, puff, puff this brat, and you're the first of 5 siblings to kiss me, you're so brave. Chuan smiled wryly, sent his children to Bai Jing, and went to change his clothes. With the innate 5 elements creation technique, the previous arrangements for the 2nd son, Su Mingxin, would have to change. Even if it meant piling up resources, he would have to raise him to the innate realm. Everyone has selfish desires. He didn't care about his great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren. But for the child he had watched grow up, he always hoped he could live longer. To be with him longer. The next day, after Chuan and Su Mingwei finished their morning exercises, Chuan suddenly said, "Shitao, starting today, you'll take time out to teach a Yuan martial arts." A Yuan. Su Mingwei was stunned. Did you ask him to go into business? Just say I said so. There's no shortage of internal energy manuals these days. Little Dragon Elephant Kung Fu, Giant Long Fist, Wild Bear Kung Fu, and the manuals that Zhao Deling and the others have memorized. He can pick any one. You should also work hard to reach the Qianyuan realm as soon as possible, then your father will give you a great opportunity. Yes, father. Su Mingwei wouldn't disobey Chuan, but after a moment's hesitation, he said, what if a Yuan doesn't want to? Then don't blame me for sending him to a martial arts school. If he studies hard at home, he'll have more freedom. But in a martial arts school, he won't have his own way. Su Mingwei sighed softly inwardly. A Yuan, don't blame me for not helping you. It's really hard to disobey father's orders. He could already imagine Su Mingwei's bitterness when he found out. After breakfast, Chuan went out to inspect the farmland and forests, checking on the growth of the fruits, vegetables, and fruit trees. If there is a problem, he will instruct the old farmers on how to do it. Until now, he rarely does it himself. In his spare time, he would find a vacant lot to practice the little dragon elephant kung fu. He has opened up 32 acupoints, and only needs 4 more to become a third-rate warrior. With the help of medicinal food in the future, the speed will definitely be faster. The Su family courtyard. No, big brother, let me practice martial arts? Is that what father wants? After hearing what Su Mingwei said, he was completely stunned. Standing there like a stone statue, motionless. Did he ask me to do business? Dad didn't ask you to stop doing business, he should let you practice martial arts. Hearing this, Su Mingwei's face suddenly turned the color of liver, as ugly as it could be. I have to balance studying and calligraphy. It's too hard for me. Su Mingxun walked over, saw Su Mingwei's expression, pointed at him and chuckled. Second brother, did you have a stomach ache? You look so ugly. Go away, little charcoal head. Go play with your lazy HMPH. I was going anyway. I don't need you to play with me anymore. Su Mingxun pouted, then headed for the door. Who knows how miserable this kid's future will be? Su Mingwei sighed and looked at Su Mingwei. Big brother, my dear brother, can't you help me plead with father? It's no use begging. Su Mingwei calmly patted Su Mingwei's shoulder. From father's tone, I guess every descendant of the Su family will have to practice martial arts in the future. Oh, I'm a little envious of Dainu and Fang Fang. At least Uncle Ergo isn't so strict with him, Su Mingyan complained bitterly. Father is doing this for our own good, Su Mingwei said seriously. I know, I'm just complaining. If I really had to change my father, I wouldn't be willing to do it. Su Mingyan took a deep breath, his eyes as if determined. Practice, you must practice seriously, even if it's just for the sake of a good father and a good son. Seeing Su Mingyan's expression, Su Mingwei couldn't help but laugh and shook his head. It's just martial arts training, not like you're going to the battlefield. Why are you so ready to die? Then pick one. Su Mingwei held several internal energy manuals, spread out in a fan shape. Any recommendations? My father said that the little dragon elephant kung fu requires higher qualifications. Why not practice the giant long fist? Uncle Lee has practiced it. Although he's not very good, at least he can teach you the basics. Okay, then the giant long fist will be fine. Yes, Su Mingwei responded with a smile, finally completing his father's instructions. Let's go find Uncle Lee. Ever since Su Mingyan started practicing martial arts, the Su family compound has seen a new figure every morning. Gradually, Zhao Dalin, Sun Fuge, and Jin Yao Ke also joined in. Since the masters were so hardworking, they had to do their best to keep up. Currently, the Su family's business wasn't very large, so they often had quite a bit of free time. Zhou Ming, too, only occasionally ran errands for Chuan and Bai Jing, contacted other people, or did some accounting and offered advice. He could see that the Su family had great potential for growth. Better days lay ahead. Chapter 16. 5 years later. The golden crow rose in the east, and the dawn broke. In the Su family compound, brothers Su Mingwei and Su Mingyan were sparring. Su Chuan, Leer, Zhao Dalin, and others watched from the side. Su Mingyan's feet were planted on the 8 trigrams, his arms folded like a dragon coiling around a pillar. This was the opening move of the dragon fist, Long Mian Kangyun. Big brother, be careful, go all out. Su Mingwei was calm and composed, unhurried. Seasons came and went. 5 springs, autumns, winters, and summers had passed since Su Mingyan began practicing martial arts. Su Mingwei was 15 years old this year. He was already about the same height as Su Chuan, and he would surely surpass him in 2 years. Su Mingyan was a head shorter, but these past few years, he had trained in the hottest days of summer and the coldest days of winter, smoothing out his restless nature. His eyes had become more restrained, and he had become a martial artist. He never gave up studying and practicing calligraphy, but he didn't devote as much time to it as he did to martial arts. As for business, he only ventured out with Chen Ergao after the annual fruit and vegetable harvest. Now, they transport their fruits and vegetables to Qianyuan County for sale, gradually building the reputation of the Su family's fruits and vegetables in Dongxi village. Both families' land holdings have increased significantly over the past 5 years. The Su family purchased everything directly and now owns 120 acres of rice fields, 60 acres of farmland, and 80 acres of forest. Within these 80 acres of forest lies a pond called the Bai Pond. It's cold on the surface, but it never freezes. After diving 100 meters, the water gradually warms, a remarkable phenomenon. Even a warrior would freeze to death after spending the next few minutes in the pond. Diving deeper would be incredibly difficult. Because of its peculiarities, Su Chuan sought a way to conquer it. He went down to the Bai Pond once, but he quickly emerged. As his martial arts skills improved, his energy and blood, enhanced by his natural destiny, surged ever more vigorously. Although only a second-rate warrior, his energy and blood were more formidable than those of many first-rate warriors. Su Mingwei, also a second-rate martial artist, had opened a total of 286 acupoints, over 20 more than Su Chuan. He was not far from becoming a first-rate martial artist. A genius who could reach the level of a first-rate martial artist before the age of 16 could only be cultivated by a family headed by a master in the county city. Su Mingwei possessed the innate gift of innate divine power, and his young age, with his body still not fully formed, made opening the acupoints easier. Furthermore, his diligent work day and night, coupled with his 5 years of daily nourishment with medicinal food, had led to such progress. Since acquiring the innate 5 elements creation technique, Su Mingyan had made it a policy that all martial artists should consume medicinal food daily to support their practice. Those blessed with innate talent could do without medicinal food, but ordinary martial artists must rely on medicinal food or herbs to replenish their qi and blood, otherwise they would suffer from qi and blood depletion. Both medicinal food and herbs cost a considerable amount of money. Fortunately, the Su family was now quite profitable. A few years ago, they had won a windfall from Boss Shang. The green jade pears brought in a steady annual income, and the other fruits and vegetables were also quite good. The Su family was now the wealthiest family in Dongxi village, aside from the Su family. In fact, after deducting all expenses, the Su family's annual surplus was undoubtedly the highest in Dongxi village. However, no one besides Su Chuan, Bai Jing, and Zhou Ming knew this. Even Su Mingwei and his brothers knew only a few general details. The Su family maintained a very low profile in Dongxi village. The direct descendants of the family were humble and never overbearing. This was also true for Zhou Ming, Zhao Dalan, Sun Fuge, and others. 5 years later, they had all married and were having children. Each family had 1 or 2 children. With wives and children, they had finally established roots in Dongxi village, a sense of belonging. Their future was no longer just about striving for themselves, but also for their descendants. Su Mingyi sparred with Su Mingwei. His palms crossed and slashed in claw-like formations, his waist twisted explosively, like a dragon extending its claws, a raging dragon parting the water, its power exceedingly ferocious. Li Er smiled and nodded. Second young master's dragon fist is already as good as mine. I'm afraid he'll surpass me in less than a year or two. Zhao Dalan glanced at the smug look on Li Er's face and sarcastically said, how dare you compare yourself to second young master? How old are you? How old is he? By the time second young master is your age, he'll probably be a top-tier warrior. Li Er's face was sullen. His martial arts talent was mediocre to begin with, and there was no refutation of that. However, he came from a prominent family, and his vision was beyond the reach of Zhao Dalan and the others. Su Mingyin had been personally taught by him, and even with a daily medicinal diet, his training was undoubtedly rapid. The medicinal diet he used to consume was far more valuable than the Su family's, but he had to be 17 or 18 to reach Su Mingyin's level. However, his own laziness also contributed to this. As for getting married later, he was even less concerned. This is why he has only become a third-rate warrior now. Lear thought that with the support of his family, at least his life would be very smooth. Who would have thought that there would be unpredictable events? Lear could still see through Su Mingyin, but not Su Mingwei. The boy of only 15 years old seemed unfathomable to him, and already had the bearing of a martial arts master. Could it be that the eldest son quietly became a second-rate warrior? Second-rate warriors of this age are very rare in the families in the county. Think about my Li family. In the past, there were only 1 or 2 second-rate warriors under the age of 15 in each generation. The eldest son is so outstanding, and the second son is not bad either. Could it be that the Su family has a martial arts bloodline inheritance? Lear pondered secretly. He had heard that some of the big families in the county city were bloodlined, which made it easier for martial arts masters to emerge. Facing Su Mingyin's onslaught, Su Mingwei remained expressionless. Crossing his arms over his chest, he directly blocked the blow. Immediately following, he unleashed an outward spinning palm strike. The resulting burst of force sent Su Mingyin flying backward. He rolled over, kneeling on one knee, and slid 2 or 3 meters before coming to a stop. Reverse scale surf, Su Mingyin leaned forward and slid low to the ground, his right fist spiraling upward. This move targeted the lower 3 roots. Su Mingwei smiled, lifted a corner of his robe, and stepped back, lifting his left and right legs. After a few steps, he understood his opponent's moves and stood firm on one leg, rooted to the ground, unmoving. His right leg swung like an elephant's trunk, colliding directly with Su Mingyin's right fist. Su Mingyin tumbled several times, looking somewhat disconcerted. However, Su Mingwei, facing the reverse force, remained as steady as a rock, slowly lowering his leg. Excellent, Zhao Dalan, Sun Fuge, and Jin Yao Ke all cheered loudly. Seeing Su Mingyin's bared teeth, Su Chuan chuckled and said, Yuan, don't embarrass yourself in front of Shitao with your mediocre skills. Zhao Dalan, don't hold back when fighting Shitao. Yes, Patriarch. Zhao Dalan stepped forward and clasped his fists before Su Chuan. Turning back to Su Mingwei, he said, Young master, please teach me. Zhao Dalan had been an apprentice at a martial arts gym and frequently sparred. His combat experience was far greater than Su Mingyidan's. He no longer adhered to manual techniques, but instead employed a flexible and adaptable approach. Each strike targeted the opponent's vital points, ruthlessly and decisively. However, even so, he failed to injure Su Mingyi in the slightest. Su Mingyi, while displaying the strength of a third-rate warrior in public, possessed a keen eye and superior fighting skills to those of Zhao Daling and the others. For the past 2 years, he had ventured deep into the mountains and forests every 2 or 3 days to battle ferocious beasts, bringing back the carcasses of these beasts on a regular basis. The wolf and fox pelts alone were worth a fortune. One time, they even brought back a whole white fox. White foxes are as swift as the wind, making them difficult to catch even for top-tier warriors in the mountains. A single whole white fox pelt is worth over 1,000 taels of silver in Qianyuan County. Chuan let Su Mingyi decide for himself, and without a second thought, he made it into a fur coat and gave it to Bai Jing. Bai Jing was so touched she couldn't bear to wear it. A moment later, Zhao Daling was completely overwhelmed. Chuan said again, "Sun Fuge, Jin Yaoke, the two of you will join Zhao Daling in the siege." "Yes, Patriarch." The two men, eager to join the fight, now that the Patriarch had spoken, quickly rushed into the battlefield. With 3 men surrounding them, each a warrior with over 20 acupoints opened, Su Mingyi felt the pressure. He slightly increased the power of his internal energy. Chapter 17, Opening a Shop in the County Town. Facing the siege, Su Mingyi primarily relied on parrying and dodging. His body formed an S-shaped pattern, lifting his knees and swinging his arms to block the blows. Landing on his toes, he concentrated his energy, surging in speed as he weaved through the men. Like a fire dragon leaping across a swamp, he combined both flexibility and explosive power. This move, a form from the Little Dragon Elephant Kung Fu, depicts the dragon swimming through a winding marsh. After a dozen breaths of this kind of back-and-forth movement, the 3-men's siege began to break. Su Mingyi's eyes flashed with a sharp glint. With a sweeping kick, he sent 2 of the men flying. Then, taking advantage of the momentum, he twisted his body and leaped into the air. His right leg, like a battle axe, struck the last man's shoulder. Boom! The overwhelming force, like a 1,000-pound boulder, crushed him to one knee, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. "Let's stop here," Chuan suddenly said. Hearing this, Su Mingyi withdrew his foot. He exhaled deeply, his expression calm, not even a drop of sweat visible on his face. Zhao Daling and the other 2 stood up, clasped their fists and bowed before him, their faces filled with admiration. They said in unison, "Thank you, young master, for showing mercy. You're too polite. I was just lucky enough to win by a hair's breadth." Chuan nodded in satisfaction. At this moment, a chubby little girl, as pretty as a porcelain doll, walked over and called out crisply, "Dad, big brother, second brother, it's time for breakfast." Leader, Zhao Daling, and the others also said, "Master, we'll be leaving now." "Yes," Chuan nodded. If they had been alone before, eating together wouldn't have been a problem. But now that they were all married and had children of their own, it would have been inappropriate to eat and drink at the master's house. The Su family treated them well, offering them a monthly salary of 5 taels of silver, a truly unique offering in Dongxi village. "My little Zuji." Chuan walked over and picked her up, nuzzling her affectionately, causing her to giggle and say, "Daddy, it's Ichi." The little girl was Su Mingshu. As the only girl in the Su family, she was the darling of all. On the 8 Immortals table, a large bowl of minced meat porridge sat in the center, surrounded by scallion pancakes, egg pancakes, pickles, and pickled radish. It was a truly sumptuous feast. There were 7 members in the Su family, but only 6 sat here. The missing one was Su Mingxuan. He had been sent to the Qianyuan martial arts school in Qianyuan County 3 years ago, along with Li Zhi. The 2 of them only returned home once every 7 days. "Tantao will be back tomorrow, and I wonder if he's lost weight." Bai Jing poured Chuan a bowl of porridge, her eyes filled with longing for her son. "He's well respected at the Qianyuan martial arts school and won't suffer any injustice," Chuan said indifferently. This immediately prompted Bai Jing to complain. She said, slightly dissatisfied, "There are plenty of martial artists at home, so why do you have to send Tantao to the martial arts school? The martial arts school is full of mixed people. How can you guarantee he won't be bullied?" Chuan didn't elaborate. Sending them to the martial arts school had a purpose: first, to get better training, and second, to expand their network. Because of their talents, they were both accepted as disciples by a peak-level instructor at the martial arts school. This connection also established a good relationship between the instructor and the Su family. After breakfast, they finished. Su Chuan put down his bowl and chopsticks and looked at Su Mingyun. A few days ago, your second uncle Gu proposed that the two families jointly open a fruit and vegetable shop in the county town. What do you think? Open a shop in the county town? It was your aunt who instigated it, right? Su Mingyun was a little disapproving, and said lightly, I heard from Dongxi before that their family seemed to be planning to move to the county town. With the current scale of fruits and vegetables produced by the two families' farmlands and forests, there is no problem in providing 2 or 3 fruit and vegetable shops. If we really want to open one, I suggest that our family open one ourselves, with the quality of our fruits and vegetables, and with a green jade pear as our signature product. Even if the business is not the best, it will certainly be very popular. Su Mingyun remembered something, and continued with a smile, I remember that in more than half a month, the green jade pear will be ripe. As a seasonal fruit, it will surely become famous. However, in this case, the Su family, Su Mingyun glanced at Su Chuan's face. He knew that Su Chuan was mainly tolerant towards the Su family. Therefore, for many years, the green jade pears were still sold to the Su family. But every time he saw the Su family's arrogant faces when they came to collect the green jade pears, Su Mingyun felt angry and wanted to rush over and throw them both into the bag. The Su family, Su Chuan murmured, smiling faintly. Since you have a plan, starting this year, we won't sell them anymore. That's great, father. I'll have Zhou Ming assist you in setting up a shop in Qingjiang County. Just ask your mother for the money you need. Leader, Zhao Dalin, and the others will also be under your command. Su Mingyun smiled and nodded, rubbing his hands, his body brimming with energy. This would be the first step for the Su family to officially expand into the county. At this moment, Bai Jing suddenly asked, if we don't cooperate with the Ergao family, will they have any objections? Su Mingyun said, Mother, you don't know. It was fine when Uncle Ergao was in charge, but then Aunt took over. She's been selling privately many times, raising the price, and constantly playing tricks. It's almost damaged our Su family's reputation several times. If it weren't for Uncle Ergao's relationship with my father, I would have had my father break off the cooperation with them long ago. Is there such a thing? Bai Jing looked surprised and puzzled. Su Chuan was very calm about the matter, simply offering a casual comment, too shrewd. Greed is insatiable. Since you're in charge of the store, you should also talk to Ergao. How can you explain it clearly? I understand. It won't hurt my father's relationship with Uncle Ergao. Su Mingyun thought for a moment, then said, I'll go to his house now to avoid any further trouble. He quickly cleaned up the remaining porridge and hurried out. Dad, I'm going into the mountains too, Su Mingwei said, standing up. Yet, Su Chuan replied. At that moment, Su Mingshu suddenly stood up, tugged at the corner of Su Mingwei's shirt, and looked up, saying, Brother, I want a small animal. Su Mingwei hesitated. The wild beasts of the mountains and forests were wild and untamable, and they couldn't just be brought back casually. If there are any young ones, it's no problem to bring back a few, Su Chuan said. I understand. Su Mingwei squatted down and rubbed Su Mingshu's head. Brother will bring them to you. Thank you, brother. Su Mingshu now also possessed the destiny gift, Whisper of All Spirits. This was the last unknown destiny gift in the bloodline family tree. It allowed communication with all beasts, allowing them to naturally become close. As for seeking benefits and avoiding harm, it had long been given to Su Mingxun. Zuji and Yanyu, you two are 6 years old now, and you two should start practicing martial arts. Got it, Su Chuan said. Bai Jing shuddered, but without saying anything, she continued to clear the table. Yes, father. Su Mingshu's eyes were filled with curiosity, while Su Mingxun was a little excited, his fists clenched tightly. Then who will teach us, father? Su Mingxun's eyes flashed. Su Chuan chuckled, I'll come myself. Chapter 18 East Market? West Market? Su Mingyun arrived at the Chen family's main gate. The gatekeeper, upon seeing him, immediately bowed and asked, Second young master Su, are you looking for the eldest young master or the master? These servants knew the close relationship between the Su and Chen families. I'm looking for Uncle Ergao. Second young master Su, please follow me. After 5 years of partnership between the Chen and Su families, the Chen and Su families had become one of the largest landowners in Dongxi village. Compared to his older brother, a second-rate martial artist, he lived a much more comfortable life. His older brother, Chen Daming, had married the daughter of a wealthy merchant, but he wasn't very good at making money or running a business. 2 years ago, he borrowed a considerable amount from his father and father-in-law, using connections to get a job as a runner in the Qianyuan County government. While he could often make a small profit, it was nothing special. Sometimes, he would borrow money from Chen Ergao. Finally, Chen Ergao stopped being subservient in front of his older brother and stood up to him. Of course, if Chen Daming could become a first-rate martial artist, that would be another story. But now, at 40, his potential had long since been exhausted, and being a second-rate warrior was his limit. It was for this reason that he sought a position in the Qianyuan County government. A stable job, at least. By now, the Chen family compound had been renovated, and a new courtyard had been built. Its floor space was half that of the Su families. They had also hired an accountant, servants, and maids. He had the air of a true master. Su Mingyan followed him into the Chen residence, surveying the surroundings. He thought, Uncle Erga really knows how to enjoy life. He hasn't been here for a month or two, and there's a new osmanthus tree and a rockery. In the front yard, Chen Daniu was practicing martial arts at home. Upon seeing Su Mingyan, he immediately stopped, approached, and asked with a smile, "Why are you here?" After Su Mingyan began training, Chen Daniu approached his father. Seeing that everyone in the Su family practiced martial arts, Chen Ergao enrolled him in a martial arts gym. The Black Tiger Martial Arts Gym had acquaintances of Chen Daming, and Chen Daniu, being his nephew, would at least have some support. But whether one could succeed in martial arts training depended on their own efforts. Fortunately, unlike Chen Ergao, Chen Daniu possessed perseverance. He would rise at cockcrow to practice martial arts and rest only at midnight. Thanks to his family's tireless training, Chen Daniu's abilities were approaching Su Mingyan's. In 2 or 3 years, becoming a third-rate martial artist would be no problem, and he hoped to become a second-rate martial artist before the age of 30. "Come, Yuan," Chen Daniu said. "It's rare for me to see you back home. Let's have a sparring match. I won't lose to you now, next time. I have something important to discuss with Uncle Ergao this time." Su Mingyan smiled. Aside from his cousin, who was already 5 generations removed from him, the temperaments of the Chen family father and son were quite to his liking. Su Mingyan made a clear distinction. After all, Su Chuan had set the same example for them. "Looking for my father? Fine, but if you're distracted like this, I'll surpass you sooner or later, haha, what's the point of competing with me? My father forced me to learn martial arts. As for my elder brother, I'm far inferior to him in terms of martial arts talent. I'm not stupid. I'll compete with you." Seeing Chen Daniu's clever expression, Su Mingyan was speechless. He waved his hand. "It won't interfere with your martial arts practice. We'll talk later." Then, he followed the servant to the inner courtyard. "Yuan, what are you doing here?" Chen Ergao was surprised to see him and waved to the servant beside him, asking him to leave. The servant bowed, left the inner courtyard, and returned to the gate. "You have something to say, right? Come on, let's talk in the study." Entering the study, he saw a row of bookshelves filled with books. Seeing Su Mingyan looking over, Chen Ergao explained with a smile, "You're just pretending. You also know that Uncle Ergao doesn't have much knowledge, so he can only work on the surface. Recently, I feel more and more that it was absolutely right for Brother Chuan to let you read and practice calligraphy since childhood. Even after practicing martial arts, you never gave up, unlike my Danyu, who is now completely devoted to martial arts. I guess I have forgotten most of what I learned in school in the past few years." "Yuan, sit down." Chen Ergao invited Su Mingyan to sit down, and then said, "Would you like some tea?" "No, I just finished breakfast." Su Mingyan smiled and said, "Uncle Ergao, not really. Danyu is still good. He will definitely be better than his uncle in the future in martial arts." "That's right." Chen Ergao looked complacent. "I spent a lot of money on him. Wouldn't it be a waste if there is no result?" "No more small talk. Tell me what you want to talk to me about." Chen Ergao poured himself a cup of tea, picked it up and took a sip. "Uncle Ergao mentioned to my father about opening a shop in the county seat before, didn't he?" "Yes." "Did your father agree?" Su Mingyan nodded. "Opening a shop, my father agrees too. Development in Dongxi village has its limits, after all, and the future center of our Su family will be in Qianyuan County." "Really?" Chen Ergao's face lit up with joy. Then let's discuss how to open this shop. No need, Uncle Ergo. What do you mean? Chen Ergo was slightly taken aback, looking at Su Mingyan in surprise. At 13, the childishness on his face gradually faded, and a hint of heroism and confidence crossed his brows. Qianyuan County is unlike the countryside. It's full of dignitaries. If our two families work together, years of hard work from both sides will be wasted, so, my nephew suggests we split up. You mean, each of us should open a shop and run it independently? Su Mingyan nodded. Chen Ergo pondered. After these years of hard work, he was no longer a novice and had already established himself in business. It's not impossible. Qianyuan County is the richest and largest among the nearby counties. The fruit and vegetable market is huge. As long as the stores are not too close to each other, they will not affect each other's business and can maximize profits. Seeing that Chen Ergo was tempted, Su Mingyan said, Uncle Ergo, let's decide it this way. My father has given me full responsibility for the affairs of the Su family fruit and vegetable shop in Qianyuan County, and I'm still busy dealing with them. Qianyuan County is full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers, and I have to plan carefully. Su Mingyan said goodbye and left. When he left the inner courtyard, he was seen by Su Yan, who was walking out of the room. She frowned slightly, walked to the study and said, that was a Yuan just here. What is he here for? Is he here to discuss the cooperation of the fruit and vegetable shop in Qianyuan County? That's right, Chen Ergo said, but after many considerations, I decided to separate. Each family will open their own shop. You can't use the name of the Su family for everything in the future. That's true, but now, Su Yan wanted to say something, but Chen Ergo raised his hand to stop her. Okay, that's it. You and I will discuss the matter of the shop. She sighed slightly in her heart. It seems that the Su family doesn't want to cooperate anymore. Forget it. In this case, there is no need to worry about anything. You can let go, madam. Do you think it is better for our shop to be opened in the East Market or the West Market? Chen Ergo said, there are many dignitaries in the East Market, and there are more common people in the West Market. Of course, the East Market. The East Market is prosperous and makes more money. The Su family. Father, do you think we should open our shop in the East Market or the West Market? East Market. We've been selling there before, so we already have a foundation, Su Mingyan said to Su Chuan after a moment of contemplation. Su Chuan smiled faintly. Father, selling things on a street is different from opening a store. Opening a store is like taking root. The East Market is prosperous, so prices are higher, and profits will be higher, but behind the prosperity are complex and intertwined interests. Father, are you leaning towards the West Market? Su Chuan nodded. Today, Father will talk to you about what a supermarket is, he began to explain. Su Mingyan was smart and quick-witted, and he immediately understood what Su Chuan meant, and was able to draw inferences from his own experience. In Zixi, our Su family can purchase fruits and vegetables from individual fruit farmers, and then sell them under the Su family's name. Moreover, the fruits and vegetables produced by the Su family themselves can be classified as fine products and priced much higher as a distinction. Some individual traders who are reluctant to sell can also reach a cooperative relationship. Our Su family will provide the venue and collect some rent. Our Su family has the golden signboard of King Gaiyu pair, so it is easy to gain fame. With fame, there will be popularity. This will drive the sales of fruits and vegetables purchased from ordinary fruit farmers, increase their sales, and attract more retail traders. It's like a snowball. It gets bigger and bigger. After Su Mingyan was enlightened, he seemed to have come to his senses. His eyes became brighter and brighter, as if he had discovered a new world. Dad, I'm going to Qianyuan County now to discuss cooperation and choose a store location. I won't be back for a few days. Go ahead. Su Chuan smiled slightly. Take Zhoming, Zhao Daling and the others with you. Remember to focus on stability. It's better to have nothing than to have something of poor quality. Yes, Dad. Su Mingyan went to Bai Jing to get several thousand taels of silver notes, and took his men to Qianyuan County. Chapter 19, Deep into Broken Tooth Mountain. Broken Tooth Mountain. Layers of verted peaks, shrouded in mist. Rising over 1,000 feet, it's named for its bisected peak, resembling the shattered fangs of a giant beast. From afar, it resembles a prehistoric beast lurking in a sea of clouds. The forests and farmlands of the surrounding area depend on Broken Tooth Mountain for their survival. Even though villagers continue to reclaim the forest, they still only occupy a tiny fraction of it. Deep within Broken Tooth Mountain, swarms of ferocious beasts roam. Even the most formidable warriors wouldn't dare traverse the entire mountain, for rumor has it that intelligent monsters dwell here. At this moment, a dark blue figure leaped through the dense forest like a monkey, its movements incredibly agile. Every shift in position startled a flock of birds. This figure was Su Mingwei, carrying two bows, a black iron longbow and a pine wave-colored longbow. The black iron longbow was a specially crafted, powerful bow. Simply pulling it open requires a force exceeding 1,000 kilograms, and to pull it into full moon shape requires over 3,000 kilograms. Only a top-tier warrior can achieve this through sheer force. Only a peak-level postnatal warrior, with all the acupoints in the heavenly realms fully developed, can do so with ease and freedom. Arrows shot from this bow chase clouds and lightning, possessing the force of 1,000 kilograms. Even a warrior just entering the innate realm can be severely wounded by a single arrow if given the opportunity. As for Su Mingwei, his innate divine strength now grants him the strength of 4,200 kilograms per arm, and combined with his eagle eye, he can lock onto his target. Seizing his opportunity means more than just a serious injury. A single strike is a sure kill. The other pine wave-colored longbow is much more ordinary, but more than enough to hunt even the most ferocious tigers and wolves. Su Mingwei only uses the black iron bow to deal with exotic beasts. This area extends over 10 miles beyond the edge of the cultivated mountain forests and farmlands of the common people. Hunters from the villages would not venture so deep. That's about where I was last time. Su Mingwei shifted several positions before finally discovering the marks he'd carved with his dagger on the trunk of a large tree. It was the character Su. The strokes were carved into the wood, flowing like snakes and dragons, radiating a sense of heroic power. Su Chuan required his sons to practice calligraphy daily until they reached the age of 15. 10 years of painstaking practice. Calligraphy is also a form of spiritual practice. Su Mingwei had only recently discovered this truth, and his admiration for Su Chuan grew even stronger. Therefore, he continued to practice regularly to fulfill his ambition. I'll look for the small animal Zuji once on our way back. Su Mingwei glanced around and continued to advance rapidly. Compared to running on the ground, leaping through trees was much safer. Suddenly, a whoosh sounded from his side as a fist-sized object hurtled toward his head. Su Mingwei twisted his waist and shifted slightly to the side, dodging the sudden attack. However, because he was caught off guard mid-air, he was interrupted and fell to the ground. Looking up, he saw a towering, red-faced, white-haired monkey with a thunder god's mouth, perched atop a thick tree trunk several dozen meters above. It bared its teeth and danced with joy. What a strong monkey! Su Mingwei's pupils shrank. This was the first time he had ever seen such a monkey. That arm must have at least 1,000 pounds of strength. An ordinary hunter would have been crushed and bloodied in a single blow. The white-haired monkey seemed a little annoyed, and with its other hand, it hurled the dark, round object at him again. Su Mingwei dodged it easily again. Curious, he stepped aside, picked it up, and examined it. Fruit, how strange. It's so hard. Su Mingwei squeezed it firmly, as if he were crushing a rock, which amazed him. Take it back and let father see it. Su Mingwei glanced at the monkey, picked up a stone, and threw it at the white-haired monkey as well. While the white-haired monkey was also agile, Su Mingwei's stone-throwing speed far surpassed it. It dodged, but not completely. Its waist was still bruised, and a stream of blood splattered. Roar! The white-haired monkey cried out in pain, covering the wound with its hand. It glanced at Su Mingwei, a hint of fear in its eyes, and roared twice more, then quickly left with a hint of resentment. You're smart. Su Mingwei's lips curled slightly. If it attacked again, Su Mingwei would definitely kill it. He found another black fruit, put it into the bag on his back, and continued on his way. Deep in Broken Tooth Mountain, Su Mingwei wasn't simply hunting wild animals. That would be too busy. He could spot several in a matter of moments. He was primarily looking for exotic beasts to hone his skills, such as tigers and giant bears. The exceptional species possessed strength even greater than that of some top-tier warriors. But beasts are still beasts. Unless they rely on numbers to overpower a warrior, they are no match for him. Even a third-rate warrior could defeat these beasts with the aid of weapons, agility, and strategy. Su Mingwei sought them out for close combat, to hone his skills in actual combat. Suddenly, the view ahead opened up. A small, shimmering pale blue lake came into view. Surrounding the lake was a verdant meadow. This is quite a scenic spot, Su Mingwei muttered to himself. Glancing around, He saw a tiger, half a man's height, on the other side of the lake. Its fur was brown and yellow, striped with black. Its limbs were strong, and its tail was long and thick, with black rings and a black tip. Its overall shape was sleek and powerful. Su Mingwei's pupils narrowed slightly, and he could even clearly see the word king on its forehead as it turned its head. It was currently holding a deer in its mouth, dragging it into the woods. What a fierce tiger! More powerful and robust than any I've encountered before, Su Mingwei immediately followed. They soon reached the foot of a low hill. The face of the hill was nearly vertical, as if split by a sword. Clematis flowers covered the walls, large, vibrant blossoms blooming. At the foot of the hill stood a cave, clearly the tiger's home. Su Mingwei approached quickly. The tiger's ears twitched slightly, as if sensing something, and it loosened its jaws, turning to look. Its large, bright amber eyes gleamed with a sharp, piercing light, staring intently at Su Mingwei. Su Mingwei set aside his longbow, quiver, and other quivers, then leaped up with a roar of laughter, clenching his fists and striking down. The tiger's eyes flashed, and it leaped as well, swinging its front paws and striking back fiercely. Bang! Fists and palms collided. Man and tiger were evenly matched, each retreating. What a powerful force! Su Mingwei bared his teeth and grinned. An average tiger weighs just over 2,000 pounds, with a maximum of around 3,000, but the one before him could unleash a force of over 4,000 pounds. Even a common bear could be slapped down with a single blow, sending it reeling and dazed. Come again! Su Mingwei's fighting spirit surged, his blood boiling. Roar, roar, roar! The tiger, sensing its own dignity challenged, roared furiously, its eyes gleaming with the intensity of one stalking its prey. Su Mingwei's foot cracked the ground, sending him hurtling forward like an arrow. The tiger didn't meet the blow head-on, but dove sideways. As Su Mingwei faltered, a thick, black, ringed tail lashed out like a whip. A whirring sound reached his ears. Su Mingwei blocked the blow with his arms, sending him flying several meters. And just then, the tiger bared its fangs, opened its bloody mouth, and pounced on him. Su Mingwei's lips curled slightly. He supported himself with one hand and launched his right foot like a spear, striking the tiger and sending it flying over 10 meters. The tiger rolled 2 or 3 times before rising, its eyes fixed on Su Mingwei sternly. At that moment, another tiger roar echoed from the cave, followed by a smaller tiger with lighter fur. Tigress, so there's a tiger couple living here. Chapter 20 Tiger Cub. Just right, one tiger isn't enough pressure, Su Mingwei laughed wildly. He had just been fighting the male tiger with pure physical strength. If he had used internal energy and martial arts, he could have easily made a fool of himself. The male tiger turned and roared at the female tiger. The female tiger responded. Then, the male and female surrounded Su Mingwei from 2 directions. Their movements were skillful, indicating this wasn't their first time hunting other beasts. The male tiger pounced first, the female tiger slowly closing in. As Su Mingwei fought the male tiger, he kept a constant focus on the female tiger. She would lunge, sometimes lash out with her tail, but none of them succeeded. Su Mingwei began to unleash his little dragon elephant kung fu techniques, combined with internal energy, each strike possessing a force approaching 6,000 kilograms. The 2 tigers were incredibly strong, and they withstood the blows in quick succession. Alright, this is how it feels. Su Mingwei no longer held back, unleashing his full range of physical skills and martial arts. Bang, 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 the punches word and word. The sound of a fist pierced the air, reverberating throughout the field. Within a few moments, Su Mingwei had slain the tiger couple. He held back not a bit. This was a fight of the most primal kind, a fight to the death. If he had been defeated, he might have been the one to die here today. This fur is quite good. A large one like this should fetch 400 or 500 taels, an ordinary one would fetch just over 300. Su Mingwei pulled out his dagger and began to skin the animal with skill. Bringing the carcass back intact would naturally be more valuable, but it would be difficult to carry and would easily reveal his strength. After finishing, Su Mingwei put the fur away, and his bag suddenly bulged. As he was about to leave, he glanced back at the cave. Curious, he ventured inside. The cave wasn't large, only 5 or 6 meters from the ceiling, and in some places, only 2 meters. Tick 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 tick, Su Mingwei followed the sound and saw a small pool of water. Water dripped steadily from the surface. His eagle eyes allowed him to see as clearly in the dark as in the daytime, A remarkable feat. He surveyed his surroundings. He saw a haystack on a stone platform and thought it must be where the tigers rested. Rustle a sound emanated from the haystack. Su Mingwei walked over and saw a small creature, the size of a cat, its eyes barely open, sifting through dry grass and branches. Is this a cub? It's white. Could it be a different species? Su Mingwei was startled, but then sighed softly. If he had known the tigress had just given birth, he might have let it go. Without the tigress, the cub would have a hard time surviving. By the way, Xiao Zuji wants a small animal, so it's a good time to take it back. I just don't know if it'll become wild and untamable. Never mind, let's deal with it later. At worst, if it goes berserk, I'll just kill it. He would reach the first-class warrior realm before the annual festival, making it easy to capture it then. Su Mingwei picked up the little white tiger and considered putting it in his bag, but then, realizing it contained its parent's fur, he felt it wouldn't be appropriate, so he simply tucked it into his arms. We've gained something this trip, so let's go back. Su Mingwei shouldered his longbow and quiver and headed back the way he'd come. It was almost lunchtime when he arrived at the Su residence. After Su Chuan finished teaching Su Mingshu and Su Mingxin martial arts that morning, he went out for a walk before returning to supervise their calligraphy practice. You're back so early today, father, Su Mingwei said with a smile. We encountered two truly impressive tigers this time, much larger than ordinary ones. We got 2 tiger skins. Father, you think we should keep them for our own use or sell them in Qianyuan County? I estimate each will fetch over 500 taels, then clean them and sell them. Leave the proceeds to Yuan, he needs to have some extra money on hand, just in case. No problem, brother. Su Mingshu came running over, tugging at the corner of his shirt, looking up expectantly. Where's the little animal I wanted? Su Mingwei smiled and pulled a large item from his bulging arms. What a cute little white cat. I love it. Su Chuan narrowed his eyes, then thought for a moment. Is this a white tiger? Father's eyes are sharp as a torch. Hearing about the white tiger, Su Mingxin, who hadn't been particularly interested, leaned in to examine it closely. He had never seen a white tiger before. Such a small one, Su Mingxin said. It was only born not long ago, its eyes haven't even opened yet. I didn't know the tigress had just given birth, otherwise I wouldn't have spared her life. Without its parents, it couldn't survive, so we brought it back, Su Mingwei explained. Su Chuan nodded and said, then let Zuji raise it. Su Mingshu took the little white tiger, gently stroking it with her hand, and said softly, little white tiger, you'll be my pet from now on. Su Mingwei smiled. 4th sister, when it grows up, it'll be taller than you and very ferocious. Be careful not to get bitten off its head, Su Mingxin said jokingly, her lips curled. HMPH, naughty brother, Xiao Bei wouldn't do that, right, Xiao Bei. Su Chuan looked at it carefully, stepped forward and stroked it, and said, since you have named it, Zuji, you will be responsible for taking good care of it in the future. I think it should be almost 2 weeks old. Even if it doesn't have the tigress's breast milk, it doesn't matter. I'll write down some precautions, and you take care of it according to the above. Thank you, Daddy. Daddy is the best, Su Mingshu called sweetly. Su Chuan rubbed her head, then wrote a page of paper and handed it to Su Mingshu, who immediately jumped away. Su Mingxin looked at Su Chuan and said, Dad, tigers are ferocious beasts. Isn't it dangerous to raise one? Why, are you worried about your 4th sister? I'm not worried about her. Su Mingxin turned her head away proudly. Don't worry, Zuji will have no problem raising it, Su Chuan assured with a smile. Go practice your calligraphy. Finish those things before you can have lunch. Yes, father. Su Mingwei was a little surprised to hear this, not knowing why his father was so sure. But he still chose to believe it. By the way, father, there are these 2 strange fruits, hard and hard. I don't know what they are. You are knowledgeable, please help me take a look. Su Chuan nodded and took them, but he didn't figure out what they were, so he simply ignored them for the time being. Su Mingwei returned to his room, hung up the bow and arrow, and then went to clean the bloodstains on the tiger skin to remove the fishy smell. Time flew by and it was noon the next day. Seeing that the tiger skin was dry, Su Mingwei rode his horse to the county magistrate. In less than half an hour, he arrived at the gate of Qianyuan County. The city wall, over 20 meters high, constructed from a single block of basalt, stretched for over 10 miles in either direction, stretching across the plain like a dragon's spine. The gray walls bore the marks of time, their bases covered in green moss. In the center stood 2 elm gates inlaid with iron leaves. Bronze animal heads, inlaid on the door panels, held bowl-sized copper rings in their mouths. Each gate was 3 or 4 meters wide, over 10 meters high, and over 30 centimeters thick, painted thickly red. People and horses alike passed through this area frequently, and gatekeepers patrolled the area, checking the identities of those passing through. Su Mingwei dismounted and led his horse forward. Those not registered in Qianyuan County were required to pay an entrance fee and obtain a temporary ID card. Businessmen were also required to register and pay business taxes. Su Mingwei, of course, declined the offer. After briefly showing his ID, he led his horse into the city. Chapter 21 Selling Tiger Skin. Qianyuan County, West Market. Su Mingwei held the reins and walked slowly, a smile of worldly wisdom playing on his lips. The clatter of horse hooves on the bluestone pavement was like a clock. The surroundings were bustling with activity, the cries of wine vendors, the clanging of copper scales in front of rouge shops, and the crisp clatter of silver coins falling on plates in tea houses. Father is right, the world is bustling, all for profit. The world is bustling, all for profit. With more people and more demand, all kinds of businesses will naturally emerge. This West Market is full of vendors and small shops, but the combined profits might exceed those of the major businesses in the East Market. Suddenly, Su Mingwei arrived at the Yunlei Inn, where Su Mingyan was temporarily staying. As he reached the inn's door, he saw Su Mingyan, Zhou Ming, Zhao Dalan, and others walking out. "Qianyuan," Su Mingwei suddenly called out. Su Mingyan, who was instructing Zhou Ming, was momentarily stunned. He turned around and looked, a smile suddenly breaking out on his face. "Big brother," several people hurried over. "Big brother, what are you doing here, young master?" Zhou Ming and the others bowed and greeted him. Su Mingwei nodded and said with a smile, "I went into the mountains yesterday and had some goodies. I came here to sell the hides. My father said he would give you the money from the hides. I thought you were familiar with Qianyuan County, so I came to you first. You made the right choice. I've accumulated some connections in the county over the past few years." Su Mingyan laughed. "If we go directly to a pawn shop or somewhere else, we won't get much, Mr. Zhou, you guys should do what we agreed on before. I'll run some errands with my big brother first, okay?" Second young master, Zhou Ming, Zhao Dalan and the others, left immediately. Su Mingyan said, "Brother, let's talk as we walk. What good skins did you hunt this time? Is it blue wolf, leopard, or maybe silver fox? Take a look for yourself." Su Mingwei opened the bundle and showed it to Su Mingyan. "This color, a tiger, the fur is of good quality. Is there any damage? With such a large collection, there must be more than one skin, right? 2, a male and a female, a couple. The male is half a foot tall and weighs over 1,000 pounds. The female is slightly smaller, but still stronger than an ordinary tiger," Su Mingwei elaborated. "They also have a cub, which they brought home for Zuji to keep as a playmate." A tiger cub as a playmate? Su Mingyan was slightly surprised. Most people wouldn't have such courage. After all, once a tiger grows up, ordinary warriors will be no match for it. If they're not careful, even a top-tier warrior can be severely injured. Father allowed it, saying Zuji would have no problem raising her. Well, father's probably right. Su Mingyan pondered the issue briefly, then stopped dwelling on it. His mind was quick, and in a split second, he came up with a plan to raise the price of the 2 pieces of leather. The 2 brothers arrived at the East Market and entered a quaint tea house. It was called Qianyuan and had 3 floors. The first floor was the main hall, with 8-person tables everywhere, and a storytelling stage in the middle. Every day, a storyteller would take the stage to tell stories about heroes, famous generals, and anecdotes. The tables were mostly filled with snacks like sunflower seeds and peanuts. The waiters would often shout, "Here we come," in a shrill, pinched voice. The second floor was filled with private rooms. The deposit for a single room alone was enough to cover the cost of half a month's listening in the main hall. As for the third floor, reservations were required in advance. Tea house, Su Mingyan looked surprised. "Selling here, brother, this Qianyuan is the most famous tea house in the East Market. The owner's surname is Chang Haowen, and he is 20 years old. I heard that he has a great background. The tea house is just one of his businesses. I just met him by chance." At this time, a waiter came over quickly and shouted, "Please sit down, What can I do for you? I'm looking for Mr. Chang. The waiter was stunned for a moment, then ran to the counter and said something to a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man glanced over here, then walked over, smiled and bowed, and said, "It turns out to be Mr. Su. My son was talking about you a few days ago." Su Mingyan bowed in return. "Manager I wonder if Mr. Chang is here today, in the private room on the second floor. I'll take you there." Arrived at the second floor. "Knock knock, young master Su is here." Su Mingyan, a charming voice rang out from inside. "Let him in, please come in, both of you." Shopkeeper he opened the door and invited the two in, then returned to the counter downstairs to continue his work. The space inside was quite large, with several chairs crafted from goose yellow pear placed around the coffee table. A young man, wearing a silver crown inlaid with jade and a gorgeous robe woven from red gold and cloud brocade, sat lazily. He had a handsome face, sword-like eyebrows, and bright eyes, and a perpetual, nonchalant smile at the corners of his lips. Beside him, a young woman in her 20s gently waved a jade fan, serving at his side. "Brother Su is here, please feel free to sit down." "Huh? You brought someone with you today?" Chang Haowen turned his head slightly, and was a little surprised to see two people coming. After looking at them, he found that their eyebrows and expressions were somewhat similar, and smiled lightly. "Is he your brother or cousin?" Su Mingyan sat down very casually, and also invited Su Mingwei to sit together, and then introduced, "He is my eldest brother, a relative, named Su Mingwei. Wei means high, the South Mountain is majestic, and the male fox is gentle." Chang Haowen commented on it and praised it. "It has the majesty of a mountain and the artistic conception of soaring ambitions." "What a good name, Mr. Chang, you are too kind." When Su Mingwei folded his hands and bowed, his back was as straight as a green pine piercing the sun, his demeanor was calm, and there was no flattery or arrogance in his eyes. Chang Haowen nodded slightly, then looked at Su Mingyan. "You didn't come to see me today just to have tea and chat, did you?" "Of course I'm here to stay and get a few things done," Chang Haowen chuckled. "Go ahead, Master Chang, take a look at these two skins and give us your opinion." Su Mingyan took two tiger skins from his bag and spread them out with Su Mingwei. Chang Haowen looked at them carefully without any change of expression. "Yes, it is an exotic species among tigers. It is estimated that it would be very dangerous for a first-rate warrior to take it down head-on. And these two tiger skins are very complete." He thought for a moment, his eyes rippling, and continued, "Either it was hit in the eyes or throat and other parts, killing it in one blow, or it was punched to the flesh and killed directly. No matter which one, the person who killed this tiger is very amazing." Mr. Chang's eyesight is as sharp as ever, Su Mingyan praised with a smile, "but there is something even rarer." "Oh, what is it?" "These two tiger skins, one male and one female, belong to a tiger couple. In order to protect their young, they fought to the death and died of exhaustion. Indeed, it is remarkable." Chang Haowen looked normal, glanced at Su Mingyan, and then smiled. "Brother Su, are you telling me this with the intention of selling this thing to me? How much do you think it is worth?" "Mr. Chang, just two exotic tiger skins can be worth 1,000 taels, plus this story, it can be worth 1,200 taels. Mr. Chang, don't you believe what I said?" Seeing his expression, Su Mingyan smiled faintly. "Merchants chase profit, so it's not uncommon to exaggerate the value of the goods. What if I can prove it's true?" "Master Chang, would you be willing to accept it for 1,200 taels?" Chang Haowen smiled faintly, unconcerned. "If you can prove it, then spending over 1,000 taels is nothing." "But how?" "That's easy. Master Chang will think that what I told you before was just a story, and the story of the young child must be false. Unfortunately, the tiger couple's cub is being raised at my house. Master Chang only needs to send someone to take a look. If there's a child, then the story will be true." Hearing this, Chang Haowen was slightly startled. "Your family wants to raise a cub of an exotic tiger, even if it's raised from a young age? When its claws and fangs gleam with coldness, it will eventually reveal its wild nature and crush its owner's throat with the slightest carelessness. Even if it's not a demon tiger, taming it requires animal taming skills, a skill approaching that of a cultivator." Su Mingyan lowered his eyes and smiled faintly. "We'll talk about the future later. If there is any harm done to others, my family will naturally not keep this evil." Seeing Su's conviction, Chang Haowen was about 70% convinced. After thinking for a moment, he said, "Brother Su is a businessman. You told me before that although businessmen pursue profit, they also need to be honest and trustworthy. Of course I trust your character, so there is no need to verify it. If your Su family can really tame it in the future, just invite me to visit it for a while. Haha, thank you very much, Master Chang, but the visit will have to wait. It's just a small ball of white fluff now. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 3 Generations of Aristocratic Family. Zia Omai, go down to shopkeeper he and get a 1,200 tael silver note. Chang Haowen raised his eyebrows and said calmly. Yes, sir. The maid beside him left the room and returned a few moments later. The money and goods were paid. Su Mingwei also breathed a sigh of relief, once again impressed by his brother's ability. Just by opening his mouth, he could sell an extra 200 taels. This was not a small amount of money for the Su family. Sir Chang, Su Mingwei said with a fist. My family will open a fruit and vegetable shop on Changle Street in Zicheng in a few days. If you have time, you can come and watch the event. We will have green jade pears for sale. Sir Chang, you can buy some to try. If I haven't left Qingjiang yet, I will definitely go and join us. Su Mingwei nodded. My brother and I have a lot of things to do, so I'll leave first. The two left. The maid named Zia Omai took a look at the tiger skin and suddenly said, Young master, we have no shortage of such things in our house. Why should we give them such a big face? As for the green jade pear, we even have an orchard. It may be precious in their Qingjiang county, but in our county town, the green jade pear is not a treasure. Chang Haowen chuckled. Different places, different levels. Naturally we can't generalize. The Su family has been able to develop from an ordinary commoner to its current scale in just over a decade. They have extraordinary means. Isn't it just a nouveau riche? Zia Omai was a little disapproving and continued to gently wave the jade fan. Whether he is a nouveau riche or not depends on his descendants. If the 3 generations who inherit the business are all smart, the foundation of a noble family can be laid in one lifetime. Chang Haowen suddenly turned his head and looked over, with a faint smile on his lips, and asked, What do you think of these 2 people today? Zia Omai tilted her head and thought for a while, then smiled and said, They are both good-looking, but not as good as the young master. Chang Haowen smiled and scolded, You superficial little girl, what can I say about you? Zia Omai stuck out her tongue and laughed twice. If I really want to say something, Su Mingwei is very eloquent and smart. His brother is a bit stupid. He sits here like a piece of wood and is very boring. Su Mingwei is the second child. His brother is the legitimate son of the family. Naturally, his requirements are different. Look at my eldest brother, isn't he also a dull character? When he meets me, he just greets me briefly and rarely opens his heart to chat. That's true. Zia Omai thought for a moment and nodded in amazement. Every time I see the eldest young master, I'm terrified from the bottom of my heart. The Su family has such a legitimate son, enough to carry on the family line. At least their generation will continue to prosper, and in what, young master, I'm actually a little envious of them. Although they don't have a house full of wealth, they're treated with such sincerity. Unlike some legitimate descendants of wealthy families, who are born in splendid swaddling clothes, unaware that those silks are already woven with scheming, I can't help but be on guard. Really? Why can't I see that, silly girl? If you could see that, you'd be a lady, not a maid. I'd love to be your maid, serving you for the rest of my life. Zia Omai chuckled, one hand gliding from the back of her neck to her chest. Chang Haowen grasped her hand and gently pulled. Caught off guard, Zia Omai cried out softly, half reluctantly, and fell between his thighs. This young Master Cheng is quite remarkable. He's probably not from Qingjiang. With such a dignified demeanor, he might be from the county seat, Su Mingwei whispered as they walked down the street. I think the same as you, big brother, so we've been keeping in touch? I hope this connection will be of benefit to my Su family in the future, Su Mingwei replied. I'm not as good as you in this area, haha, big brother, you've been brought up by father and taught by him, so how could you be worse than me? Just look at how well he manages his relationships with those around him. I'm not even half as smart as father, it's just that you focus more on martial arts. Su Mingwei's eyes lit up, becoming piercing. If the Su family wants to advance, they'll need a powerful warrior to lead them. Look at the Su family. They've had a top-notch warrior, and they've been able to dominate Dongxi village for over 20 years. With our father's wisdom and talent, he can only keep a low profile, but these days are coming to an end." Hearing this, Su Mingwei understood and replied, "Yes." Su Mingwei offered to take him on another tour, but Su Mingwei shook his head and declined, saying there was no rush. Then he left the city gate, mounted his horse, and returned to Dongxi village. Su Mingwei and his team recruited a number of small fruit and vegetable vendors in West Market, but they only agreed to sell them their produce. As for renting a stall, no one agreed. He knew this needed to be done step by step, so he didn't force it. The shop they purchased was quite large, but more than half was dedicated to the stall. Since no one agreed, they had to temporarily close it. The remaining space was enough to display the Su family's various fruits and vegetables. Soon, the opening date for the Su family's shop was set. Su Mingwei sent invitations to his connections. Everything else was easy to negotiate, except for the green jade pears. Su Mingwei was afraid that if the Su family knew he wouldn't sell them green jade pears anymore, they would embarrass him, even resort to violence, or even cause trouble on the opening day. He even returned home to discuss this matter with Su Chuan. But Su Chuan told him not to worry and that he should just return to the county town to prepare for the opening. Su Mingwei believed him and obediently returned to the county town. He purchased a 2-story house in the northern district near Zixi, serving as the Su family's residence in the county. Soon, it was the time for the green jade pear harvest. Only one day remained until the Su family's shop opened. Naturally, the Su family was unaware of their involvement in the county, and as expected, Su Mao arrived with 7 or 8 servants. Su Mao was the eldest son of the Su family's third master. As the third master grew older, the purchase of green jade pears had been handed over to him several years earlier. Arriving at the Su family's gate, Su Mao surveyed them for a moment, his eyes etched with disdain. A middle-aged steward beside him leaned forward and whispered, "Young master, the Su family is a far cry from what it once was. In Dongxi village, its prestige rivals ours. Don't forget what the third master told me before he left." "I understand. I'll be polite to Su Chuan," Su Mao replied impatiently, but inwardly added, "If he knows what's best for him." The middle-aged steward glanced at them for a moment and sighed softly. Both of them were approaching 40, but he and Su Chuan were worlds apart. He spoke and acted like a teenager, completely disregarding the consequences. "Is Master Su here?" The middle-aged steward put on a smile and asked loudly. As soon as he finished speaking, a boy and a girl came out. The girl was holding a white cat in her arms, and her red gold eyes looked at the people in the yard. The two were Su Mingxin and Su Mingshu. "Who are you?" Su Mingxin asked cautiously. Hearing the voice, Bai Jing hurried out of the inner room. After seeing the people, she smiled and said, "It turned out to be Master Su and the steward of the Su family. My husband and the others have gone to pick green jade pears. It will probably take a while for them to come back. Is that the case? Then we will wait in the yard." "Okay," Bai Jing nodded, and then moved out 2 chairs for Su Mao and the middle-aged steward. Su Mao stared at the docile white cat in Su Mingshu's arms. Seeing its red gold eyes, he wondered, where did this exotic white cat come from? If I brought it to the county seat and presented it to County Magistrate Yang, he would surely be delighted. "Girl, let me see the white cat in your arms." Su Mingshu turned her head away, ignoring him and continuing to play with her pet. "Hey, so uneducated, you're worthy of being the offspring of a wild child?" Bai Jing's face immediately turned irritated when she heard this, and she sternly said, "Mr. Su, please respect your words." Chapter 23 The Fangs of the Su Family. Su Mao's eyes flickered, scanning Bai Jing from head to toe. Her skin, plump as freshly peeled lychees, her waist swaying like a willow in the wind, suddenly stirred within him, and those frivolous, vulgar words were on the tip of his tongue. But the middle-aged steward, with his sharp eyes, saw through Bai Jing's thoughts and, with a fist pump, said, "Please forgive me, Madam Su. My son speaks his mind without hesitation." He was simply curious about the white cat. Su Mao glanced at his steward, saw the hint of a frown, and then curled his lips. "You come from a wealthy family, yet you have no sense at all," Su Mingxin said with a hint of sarcasm. "What are you talking about, little brat?" Seeing a child dare to mock him, Su Mao roared, abruptly standing up. "How can you, an adult, argue with a 6-year-old?" After the birth of Su Mingxin and Su Mingshu, the Su family's financial situation had long since improved. Su Chuan and his wife, along with his older brothers, were all doted on, their temperament somewhat mischievous, and they were known for their bluntness. The middle-aged steward asked with a smile, "Young master, you said we had no good eyesight. Why did you say that? My sister has a tiger cub in her hands." "You're saying it's a white cat, aren't you blind?" The steward was stunned. Su Mao burst into laughter. "Tiger cub? Do you think I've never seen a tiger? There's no way it has white fur. You think a white cat is a tiger? You're Sichuan's kid, you know." Su Mingshu was also furious. Pointing at Su Mao, she said, "Xiaobei, bite it." Xiaobei seemed to understand Su Mingshu's words. His red gold eyes gleamed fiercely as he looked at Su Mao. He opened his mouth, revealing his half-grown fangs. "Zuji, who are you going to bite? I told you not to let Xiaobei bite anyone." A gentle voice came from outside the door. Then Su Chuan, Su Mingwei, Sun Fuge, and Jin Yao Ke entered the courtyard. Outside, 7 or 8 burly men in simple attire stood before several carts. The carts were loaded with baskets of jade pears. "Father, you're back," Su Mingxin and Su Mingshu shouted, running towards Su Chuan. Bai Jing breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. "My husband's back. Young Master Su and the others have been waiting for a while." Su Chuan nodded, looked at Su Mao, and said with a smile, "Brother Su, long time no see." "Father, that man just scolded you." Su Mingshu bared her fangs and began to report to Su Chuan. "You little girl." Su Mao glared at Su Mingshu, his face thick with anger. "Master Su, my young master was just joking. Please don't take it to heart." The middle-aged steward offered an apologetic smile, smoothing things over. "For third master's sake, I won't take it to heart. However, we have many things to attend to today at the Su family, so I won't entertain you." The middle-aged steward frowned slightly. Su Mao seemed not to understand, still sneering arrogantly. "I don't think you out there are this year's Qianyuan pears, right? Give them to us, and I'll let your daughter's offense go. My Su family isn't stingy, and we won't miss out on money." "Brother Su, aren't you talking nonsense?" Su Chuan chuckled, stroking Su Mingshu's head. "Why would I give you my pears? My Su family owns a fruit shop in the county town, and these Qianyuan pears will be sent there for the opening tomorrow." The middle-aged steward understood. He knew he would have to return empty-handed today. His family had always given Qianyuan pears to the Su family, simply because they saw the Su family's strength and had been patient and dormant. "Su Chuan, you dare not hand it over to me? Are you trying to offend my Su family?" "That's right. If I don't sell your things, it would be an offense. So, are you willing to sell me those 20 acres of medicinal herbs your Su family cultivates at 30% below the market price? If so, it's not impossible to make a deal." "What a joke." Su Mao laughed in anger. The middle-aged steward, not wanting the relationship between the two families to become even more strained, quickly bowed to Su Chuan and said, "Since the Su family has plans for those green jade pears, we won't bother you any more." With that, he dragged Su Mao away. Su Mao still looked reluctant. "Manager Wang, why are you pulling me away? This Su Chuan is ungrateful, and I was just about to teach him a lesson with the men we brought," the middle-aged manager countered. "Even if we can teach him a lesson, if he refuses to sell, can we still rob him? Aren't you afraid he'll file a complaint with the county government, accusing us of forcibly stealing the Qianyuan pear? If that happens, not only will our Su family suffer a great loss, but we'll also lose our good reputation in the surrounding area. Let's go back and tell the third master about this, and let the third master, second master, and the head of the family make the decision." Humph! After hearing what the middle-aged manager said, Su Mao could only reluctantly return home. The Su family compound. Did Su Chuan really say that? Third Master Su, seated at the head of the hall, stroked his beard after hearing the middle-aged steward's words and said, "Never mind. Things have come to this point. There's no point in hoping. I really underestimated Su Chuan. I thought he was just an honest, timid farmer, but as long as our Su family manages our other businesses well, we can still prosper." After a pause, he continued, "By the way, Steward Wang, did you say the Su family's fruit shop in the county town is opening tomorrow?" "Yes, go and find out. Go and give a congratulatory gift tomorrow when it opens. We're both in Dongxi village, so we still have to maintain some semblance of normalcy." "Yes, Third Master," the middle-aged steward replied, then withdrew. "As for you, stay home for the time being and don't go out and cause trouble." "Hey, our family still depends on Gainer." "Yes, Father." Su Mao was still furious. In the past, Chuan bowed his head like a fallen grass and bent his waist like a piece of rotten cotton before him. Now, after only a few years, he dared to treat him like this. The foul air stuck in his throat, burning more than swallowing a burning coal. Humph, I can't deal with you, but I gave birth to a good son. Qianyuan is learning martial arts with his second uncle at the Black Wind Martial Arts School. He is the next person in my Su family who has the greatest hope of becoming a first-class martial artist. Chuan, isn't your fruit shop opening tomorrow? I want to see how it will continue if something goes wrong. Su Mao didn't listen to his father at all. He turned around and rode off to Qianyuan County. After the middle-aged steward learned that Su Mao had left the Su mansion, he immediately reported it to Mr. Su-san. Mr. Su-san waved his hand and said, "Let him go to the county to relax. As long as he doesn't provoke the Su family. It's fine, I just hope that the two families don't interfere with each other." Su family. Shitao, you and Sun Fuge, Jin Yaokei, and the others should take the green jade pear to Aon. Go now, okay, father. Su Mingwei nodded. Su Mingson looked at Chuan and asked curiously, "Father, why didn't you teach that Su guy a lesson just now?" "Yeah, Zuji hates him too, and so does Iobe." Atwu, the little white tiger, patted on the head, chimed in. "People like him are Su family parasites. Wouldn't it be more effective if we kept him around to eat away the Su family and destroy it?" Chuan smiled confidently. "Besides, father has his own uses. Tomorrow I'll take you to the county town to see a good show, and if possible, we can vent our anger while we're at it." Chuan patted their heads and said, "It's not even noon yet. Let's go practice some boxing." "Father, didn't we practice this morning?" Su Mingshu pouted unhappily. Chuan's face was stern, and he remained silent. Seeing this, the two of them obediently began to practice boxing in the yard. The little white tiger escaped Su Mingshu's clutches. Lying on the corridor, it yawned and leisurely basked in the sun. In the past half-month, it had grown accustomed to its current life and was very obedient to Su Mingshu. Chapter 24 Opening. The next day, Chuan took Bai Jing, Su Mingwei, and other siblings by carriage to the West Market in Qianyuan County. They first settled in the West Market mansion. "Dad, is this the house my second brother bought? It's even bigger than our own." Chuan looked around. This was his first time there, so he observed it for a while. "It's barely big enough for the whole family, but if Shitao and Aon get married and have children, it won't be so big." "Yes," Bai Jing agreed with a smile. "Shitao is almost 16. In a few years, it will be time for him to choose a family to marry." She turned to look at Chuan. "Does your husband have a favorite?" "Why should I? What matters is that our husband likes it." Chuan took Bai Jing's hand and stroked it a few times. "My lady, go see if there is a room you like. You can come and stay here often in the future." "No need," Bai Jing shook her head. "Wherever your husband is, I will be there." Su Mingson and Su Mingshu were full of curiosity and wandered around the mansion, with the little white tiger following them happily. "Ioan, take your mother and the others to the fruit shop later. I'm going out for a while. You don't have to wait for me. I'll go straight there." "Got it, father." Chuan left and headed for the county government office. "Who are you and what are you doing here?" The yamen runner at the gate stopped Chuan and questioned him formally. "I'm Chuan, from Dongxi village, here to visit County Magistrate Yang." "Do you know County Magistrate Yang, brother yamen runner?" "You'll find out if you report to him." The middle-aged yamen runner pondered for a moment, then said, "Then come in with me. If you try to deceive me, you'll be in trouble." Chuan smiled faintly and said yes. He then followed him into the county government office and arrived outside the county magistrate's study. The yamen runner knocked on the door and said, "County magistrate, someone named Chuan wants to see you." "Chuan? Where are you from?" "Dongxi village." "Let him in." Mr. Su, the county magistrate wants you in." Knowing Chuan was someone County Magistrate Yang knew well, the runner immediately put on a smile and tactfully left. "Brother Su, it's been a long time since we last met. Sit down and chat." Yang Zhao smiled faintly, offering a gesture of invitation. He had risen from chief clerk to county magistrate in just a few years, thanks to Chuan's strategies for pacifying the people. He had assumed the other party would soon ask for his help, or perhaps leverage the Yang family's reputation to further the Su family's fortune. Who could have imagined that this wait would last over 5 years? Despite their immense wealth, the Su family remained as steady as ever, neither arrogant nor impetuous, steadily developing. This heightened his admiration for them. He also knew that the Su family was aiming for a legacy that would endure for generations. The county magistrate is very busy with official duties. How dare I disturb him lightly? You and I are about the same age. When there is no one around, you can just call me Brother Yang. Yang Zhao said, are you here to ask me for help with something? Su Chuan shook his head. Brother Yang, you misunderstood. I have heard that you are selfless. I came here today just to invite you to visit my newly opened fruit shop. It would be even better if you could write a few words on it, haha. Such a small matter is naturally no problem. Yang Zhao laughed and looked at Su Chuan and said, are you finally planning to develop the Su family in the county? It seems that you are confident that you can gain a firm foothold in the county. Brother Yang, you are joking. There are so many aristocratic families in the county, and there are even more hidden dragons and crouching tigers. My Su family just opened a fruit shop in the West Market to make a living. How can we gain a firm foothold? Yang Zhao said nothing more. When will it open? More than an hour later. That's not urgent. Let me finish the official documents at hand first, and then go with you. Su Chuan nodded, sitting calmly to the side. Nearly an hour later, Yang Zhao stood up and bowed, saying, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, Brother Su. I'll change into my casual clothes and we'll go. I hope we don't miss the auspicious time. You're very polite, Brother Yang. Your presence is a great honor to my Su family. Soon after, the two of them left the county government office and headed for the West Market. At this moment, in front of the Su family's fruit shop, the crackling sound of firecrackers continued. Many people, attracted by the lively atmosphere, stopped to watch. Several wealthy and well-known merchants in the county even came to give gifts. Cheng Haowen had arrived, but he didn't show up. Instead, he sat by the window on the second floor of the restaurant across the street, drinking and watching the bustle of the Su family's fruit shop. His maid, Xia Omai, still stood beside him. Opening a restaurant in a place like West Market, the Su family really doesn't know how to choose a location. That's not true. While West Market isn't as prosperous as East Market, this street is mostly filled with food. If you're tired of eating and need something to relieve the greasy feeling, wouldn't fruit be just right? Buy a few pounds and take them home to enjoy with your family. That makes sense, young master. The Su family is really calculating. Cheng Haowen shook his head and chuckled, looking down at the crowd with a sense of boredom. Yang Zhao's here? Is he related to the Su family too? Could it be that the Su family is backed by the Yang family, as both of them were prominent families in the county? Cheng Haowen naturally knew Yang Zhao. They were of the same generation, but with a significant age difference. They had only met once when they were children, visiting the Yang family with their father and eldest brother. The person next to Yang Zhao looks familiar too. He bears a resemblance to the Su Mingyan brothers. He must be an elder of the Su family. His lips curled slightly, suddenly finding something interesting. Just seeing Yang Zhao here was worth the trip. Shitao, Aon, Tan Tao, Zuji, Yunyu, come meet your Uncle Yang. Greetings, Uncle Yang. The five sons of the Su family bowed respectfully to Yang Zhao. Yang Zhao looked them over. Leaving aside the young Su Mingshu and Su Mingxin, the other three all exuded a restrained radiance, a vibrant energy, and a remarkable presence. I envy you, Brother Su, for having such talented children. What do you mean by extraordinary? We're just a bunch of country-bred brats. We don't deserve such praise from you, Brother Yang. Su Mingshu, unfazed by the stranger, asked curiously, Uncle Yang, why haven't I seen you before, even during the holidays? Yang Zhao pinched her delicate cheeks and said with a chuckle, though your father and I haven't met often, we admire each other and have a long-standing spiritual connection. Spiritual connection? How can I have that connection? Hearing this, Yang Zhao burst into laughter. The others couldn't help but laugh at the child's words. This little girl is so adorable. I'm almost tempted to adopt her as my goddaughter. I wonder if Brother Su would agree. Su Mingshu immediately smiled and bowed, saying, Zuji greets Godfather. Zuji is my only daughter. Everyone dotes on her, which can make her a bit unruly. Don't blame me, Brother Yang. Su Chuan shook his head and laughed. Her personality is very different from my yours, but she's very endearing. Here, Godfather's gift for you. Yang Zhao untied the jade pendant from his waist and handed it to Su Mingshu. It's beautiful. Thank you, Godfather. Brother Su, you asked me to write an inscription. Let's do it now, Yang Zhao said. Well, Shitao, Aon, go get some brush and ink. Yes, Father. Just as Yang Zhao began to write, A disdainful voice suddenly rang out, "Can anyone write an inscription these days? Chuan, your sign is so casual? Would you like me to introduce you to some respected calligraphers?" Yang Zhao's brows suddenly formed into three-way lines, and his beautiful face suddenly frosted. But he didn't lose his temper. After all, he was only here to congratulate a friend and didn't want to show off his official status. Following the voice, 4 or 5 people pushed through the crowd and arrived in front of the shop. "Second uncle, Qianyuan, that's Chuan. He's been mocking my Su family and has the intention of harming them. We can't let them off easily today, Mauer, there's no need to say more. I have my own ideas." Su Zhen, Su Mao's second uncle, had lived to such an old age and was naturally experienced. He wasn't someone who could be fooled by a few words. "Master Su, huh? I'm Su Zhen, second Master Su," Su Chuan said, smiling and bowing as he stepped forward. "When I was in the Su family, I often heard of your reputation, but this is the first time we've met." Su Zhen was a little surprised by the other party's politeness. But he also knew that many people were just pretenders, willing to stab him in the back. So, he remained vigilant. Chapter 25, Showing Off His Talent. The Su family is opening its business this time. As we are from Dongxi village, our Su family naturally has to show our appreciation. Here are 10 key and blood pills, which are my gifts this time, Mr. Su. This gift is quite expensive, Su Chuan said with a faint smile. Su Zhen said, "This gift isn't easy to come by. I heard many of your Su family members are practicing martial arts, so why not have a duel with my Su brothers? It'll be a fun way to celebrate your family's opening." "Huh?" Su Chuan pondered. Su Mingxun said, "Father, 10 key and blood pills are a waste not to take. Let me take the lead." Seeing his eagerness, Su Chuan smiled and looked at Su Zhen. "Second Master Su, let's have a few duels, and we'll stop when we are done. Martial artists spar, and injuries are inevitable. If you're afraid, you can refuse. Stop talking nonsense. I'll take the first round. Who else will you choose?" Su Zhen chuckled. The Su family still has some brave souls. "You're only about 10 years old, Su Feng, go challenge him." "Yes, second master." The man who emerged was half a head taller than Su Mingxun, about 11 or 12 years old. Everyone was happy to watch the excitement, and they all stepped aside to give them enough space to compete. Although Su Mingxun's fate didn't give him a strong blessing for martial arts, he had a good understanding and was very fast in practicing martial arts moves. That's why he and Li Zhi were noticed by the top postnatal masters of the Qianyuan Martial Arts School and accepted as disciples. Although only 9 years old, with the full support of the Su family, he has opened more than 20 acupoints. As for Li Zhi, his martial arts talent is much higher than Su Mingxun's. He is only one step away from being a third-rate martial artist. Su Feng only opened 16 or 17 acupoints. His internal strength was not as good as Su Mingxun's, and his martial arts skills were also inferior. He was defeated in just a dozen moves. Su Mingxun showed mercy and only injured Su Feng's arm. This magnanimity attracted praise from those around him. "What a young man, the Su family is such a good parent, he'll definitely rise to prominence in the future." Su Mingxun looked at Su Zhen and the others and said, "Who's next?" "What a cocky brat. Su Wei, you go." "Yes, second grandfather." Su Wei, 15 or 16 years old, struck with ruthless fury. Without a word, he thrust his claws at Su Mingxun's heart. Su Mingxun responded calmly. Though his internal energy was lacking, martial arts competitions weren't simply about the amount of internal energy. The application of martial arts techniques could also determine victory or defeat. Bang, bang, bang. After dozens of consecutive moves, Su Mingxun knew he would be defeated if he continued. He deliberately exposed their weakness, luring Su Wei deeper. Then, in a mutually devastating blow, he broke Su Wei's arm. However, he himself suffered internal injuries. Bai Jing looked worried, and Su Chuan said, "Mingxun, you've won 2 games in a row, you've had enough fun, come back, let your eldest brother take over later." "Yes, father." Su Zhen's face turned grim, and he glared at Su Wei. Su Wei was also embarrassed, not daring to look him in the eye. Su Zhen sighed softly. The one he had brought today was already the most outstanding child of the Su family. But 2 people in a row couldn't even defeat a 9-year-old boy. "I'm afraid that in another 10 years, the Su family will no longer be able to withstand the rise of the Su family." Su Mao was also furious, cursing, "Second uncle, let Qianyuan go. He will definitely win honor for our Su family. That's the only way, father, second grandfather. Don't worry, Qianyuan will definitely live up to the Su family's reputation. Su Jin walked to the center of the venue and shouted at Su Chuan and others, I'm Su Jin, who from your Su family will be fighting? Su Jin, I've heard that the genius of the Black Wind Martial Arts School is only in his early 20s and is already a second-rate warrior. One of the geniuses in the Black Wind Martial Arts School is expected to become a peak-level talent. I think the Su family is in trouble this time. The eldest son is 5 or 6 years younger than him, and I heard that the Su family only has 3 sons enrolled in the martial arts school. Yang Zhao listened to those words and looked at Su Chuan. Brother Su, do you want me to step in? Brother Yang, I invited you here today just to visit. It's just a small matter, and you don't need to take any action. Yang Zhao seemed to be lost in thought. Across from the restaurant, second floor. Young master, I think the Su family is going to lose. They look very powerful. Xiaomi vaguely heard that there are second-rate warriors. Second-rate warriors in their early 20s are indeed not bad. They have the potential to reach the peak of the acquired realm, but the chances of reaching the innate realm are slim. Let's see how the Su family responds. Chang Haowen didn't care and continued to drink and watch the show. Su Chuan smiled faintly. Shi Tao, you go. Don't bring shame to the Su family's reputation. Yes, father. Su Mingwei had been practicing martial arts since he was 6 years old, day and night, never stopping, never showing off. What Su Chuan said today meant that he didn't need to lie dormant anymore. Heartened, he stepped into the arena with the gait of a dragon and a tiger, his eyes as sharp as a torch, staring directly at Su Jin. The unintentional display of his aura caught even Yang Zhao's eye. He couldn't help but sigh. I thought your third son was already exceptional, but seeing Daling's form, I finally understand what a dragon among men truly is. Bai Jing was delighted. Brother Yang, you're exaggerating. Shitao hasn't practiced martial arts seriously, he just sparred with his father in his spare time. Sister-in-law is truly modest, Yang Zhao replied with a smile. Su Mingwei stared at Su Jin, his right palm turned upward, a gesture of respectful respect, and said loudly, Brother Su, please. Su Jin said nothing more. His figure flashed like a ghost, his shadows flickering left and right, making it difficult to follow. In a flash, he was like an arrow shot from a bow, closing in on Su Mingwei. Seeing that he remained unmoved, he sneered, raised his fist, and struck him in the face. Su Mingwei waved his left hand. With a bang, Su Jin's fist was easily blocked by Su Mingwei's palm. Then, his hand swung like a dragon's claw, tightly grasping Su Jin's wrist. He retreated, then pulled. Unable to resist, Su Jin immediately performed a split spin. He failed to tug at his hips. It hurt. He couldn't help but gasp. Seeing this, everyone understood what had happened and couldn't help but laugh. Su Mingwei hadn't expected this either. He lifted him up with one arm, trying to throw him away. Su Jin took the opportunity to kick him in the chest. But Su Mingwei's other hand blocked the kick, and he was thrown away by an irresistible force. Brother Su, you're no match for me. Let's try someone else. Chang Haowen's pupils shrank slightly. I didn't expect Su Mingwei to be so powerful. I didn't realize it the last time we met. At 15, he's on par with a top-tier warrior. If he can reach the peak of the acquired realm before 20, or even go further and break through the innate realm, he'll be a master. A master can live to be 120, enough to establish an aristocratic family in the county town. That blockhead is so formidable, Xiaomi exclaimed, gazing out the window at Su Mingwei, his eyes full of life. What's going on? Are you tempted? No, I'm just curious that such a remarkable figure could emerge from a rural family. Even in the county town, there aren't many. Don't underestimate these humble families. I wonder how many aristocratic families have climbed this path step by step. I understand, sir. Su Mingwei's ease in controlling the genius of the Black Wind Martial Arts School was astonishing. However, he bowed to Su Jin. I've heard of Second Master Su's reputation for a long time. I'd like to ask for your advice today. Is that possible? End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.